The tape clicks on. Static first, then breathing. This is Technical Sergeant Marcus Hale, Security Forces Squadron, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, October 31st, 2007, 11:17 p.m. He clears his throat. I'm recording this because nobody's gonna believe the logs. The mic picks up wind outside the guard shack, metal creaking somewhere in the dark. At 11 p.m. we got our first call. Building 219, motion sensors tripped. No visual on CCTV. Dispatch sent Airman Corey and Staff Sergeant Voss to check it out. He pauses. They came back 12 minutes later. Voss wouldn't talk. Corey said the doors were locked from the inside. Said he heard a kid laughing. Another pause. Longer this time. There are no kids on base after 9 p.m. Hale's voice stays flat. Professional. But there's something under it now. At 11:12 p.m., Building 70 called in. Same thing. Motion alarms. No entry. No exit. Security cams showed lights flickering in Corridor C. Nobody assigned there. Nobody cleared. He exhales slow. Then the radio started. Static hisses through the recording. Every channel, every frequency. Just static at first. Then underneath it, voices. Couldn't make out words, just murmuring. Like a crowd talking far away. Hale stops. You hear him drink something. Coffee maybe. Command ordered a base-wide comms check. All systems green. No interference, no external silence, no external signal. But the voices didn't stop. His chair scrapes back. At 11:20 p.m. I was standing outside the Arnold House doing perimeter sweep. Old officer quarters. Condemned since 2003. Locked up tight. Supposed to be empty. He breathes in. I saw a light on the second floor. Just for a second. Like a flashlight beam, moving left to right across the window. The tape goes quiet. I called it in. Dispatch said nobody had keys. Nobody was cleared. I was told to stand by. His breathing gets heavier. First floor clear, dust everywhere. No footprints, no tracks, just us. Stairs creaking. Second floor, same thing. Empty rooms, peeling wallpaper, broken furniture, but the air was wrong. He stops walking. It was cold, not October cold, cold like a freezer. Our breath came out in clouds, frost on the window glass. Inside, static crackles. We reached the room where I saw the light. Door was closed. I pushed it open. Silence. The room was empty. But the window was covered in frost, and in the frost, someone had written something. His voice goes quiet. 3 words, written from the inside. Another pause. We never left. You hear someone swear in the background. Another voice, not Hale. Command pulled us out, ordered the building sealed, posted 2 guards outside, told us to file reports and keep our mouths shut. Hale sits down again, chair squeaking. At 11:55 p.m., both guards radioed in, said they heard knocking from inside. 3 knocks, then silence, then 3 more. The recording crackles. Dispatch told them to hold position, not to engage, not to enter. Wind again. At 11:59 p.m., every light on the east side of the base went out. Just for 8 seconds. Total blackout. Backup generators didn't kick in. We were in the dark. His breathing is shallow now. When the lights came back, the guards were gone. Long silence. We found them 20 yards away, sitting on the ground, backs against the fence, staring at the building. Neither one of them remembered leaving their post. Neither one remembered walking away. Hale clicks something. Pen, maybe. I'm filing this under incident code WPAFB1031, Paranormal Activity Protocol, Halloween Protocol, because that's what we're calling it now. Static rises. This isn't the first time. It won't be the last. The tape cuts, then it clicks back on. One more thing. His voice is barely a whisper now. When we swept that room, we found something under the window. Small, metal, old. Pause. A dog tag, name scratched off, serial number worn away, but on the back, someone carved a date. Silence. October 31st, 1952. The tape ends. The briefing room smells like burnt coffee and old paper. Captain Elena Marsh stands at the front. Intelligence officer, 15 years on base. She's seen things before. She doesn't talk about them. Behind her, a projector hums. Black and white footage flickers on the screen. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, established 1948. Merger of Wright Field and Patterson Field. Named after the Wright brothers and Lieutenant Frank Stewart Patterson. She clicks the remote. Aerial shot of the base. Runways stretching out like scars across Ohio farmland. Primary mission, aviation research and development. Testing grounds for experimental aircraft. Home to the Air Force Materiel Command. Over 25,000 personnel. 30 square kilometers of restricted airspace. Another click. Old hangar footage. Scientists in white coats walking past covered objects on dollies. But that's the public story. Marsh's voice goes flat. The real story starts in 1947. Roswell, New Mexico. You know the name. You know what they say happened there. She doesn't wait for response. Whatever came out of that desert came here. Wright-Patterson became the evaluation site. Foreign Technology Division. Code name, Project Blue Book. The screen shows filing cabinets, rows and rows of them. Between 1952 and 1969, this base investigated over 12,000 UFO reports, classified everything, documented everything, stored everything. Click, a corridor, underground, concrete walls, steel doors with combination locks. Building 18F, nickname, the Blue Room. Rumor says that's where they kept the physical evidence. Craft debris, biological samples, things that couldn't be explained. Marsh pauses. I've worked here 15 years. I've never been inside Building 18F. I don't have clearance. Most people don't. She turns to face the room. 3 security forces personnel, 2 engineers, 1 base commander. But here's what I do know. This base has a history, and that history didn't end in 1969. Click. Floor plans. Multiple buildings highlighted in red. Building 219, former medical facility. Pediatric ward closed in 1987. 23 child dependents treated there between 1962 and 1985. 2 died on site. Complications from surgery. Files sealed. Her voice doesn't change. Building 70, cold storage warehouse. Used for equipment. Used for other things too. Between 1955 and 1967, this building was a morgue processing center. Bodies from test flights, crash sites, things that came down that shouldn't have been up there. Click. The Arnold House. Faded photo. Victorian style. 2 stories. Wraparound porch. Arnold House. Built 1932. Officer quarters until 1998. Decommissioned after structural damage. Condemned in 2003. Supposed to be demolished in 2005. She stares at the image. It's still standing. Between 1998 and 2003, 6 different families lived in that house. All officer families. All requested immediate transfer. None of them filed official complaints. But I pulled the housing records. Click. Handwritten notes. Barely legible. Cold spots. Doors opening. Footsteps on stairs. Children crying in empty rooms. Shadows moving across walls. One family reported their daughter talking to someone who wasn't there. Said his name was Michael. Said he was waiting for his mother. Marsh clicks again. Medical records. There was a Michael Cordero, 7 years old, son of Captain Raymond Cordero, died in 1952, meningitis, October 31st. The room goes quiet. He died in Arnold House. His father was stationed here during the early Project Blue Book years, worked in recovery operations. Witness testimony says Captain Cordero started acting strange after his son died, talking to himself, refusing to leave the house, claiming his son was still there. Click. Psychiatric evaluation form. Stamped. Discharged. Captain Cordero was relieved of duty, sent to a VA hospital in Cleveland. He escaped 3 months later, walked onto I-70, stepped in front of a truck. Marsh turns off the projector. That's the history. Now here's the pattern. She walks to the whiteboard, picks up a marker. Every incident we've logged in the past 72 hours has happened in one of 3 locations. Building 219, Building 70, Arnold House. She writes the names. All 3 locations have documented deaths. All 3 have been flagged before for unexplained activity, and all 3 are active again. The base commander leans forward. Colonel Pritchard, gray hair, jaw like a shovel. Active how? Motion sensors tripping, audio recordings ticking up voices, thermal cameras showing cold spots with no environmental cause, electromagnetic field readings spiking at random intervals. Pritchard frowns. Equipment malfunction. That's what engineering said. She nods to one of the engineers. He stands. Young guy. Nervous. We ran full diagnostics. Every sensor, every camera, every detector, everything checked out. No faults, no errors. Systems are functioning normally. Marsh crosses her arms. So either our equipment is detecting something real, or it's detecting something we don't understand yet. Pritchard's jaw tightens. I don't believe in ghosts, Captain. Neither do I, sir. Her voice stays level. But I believe in data, and the data says something is happening. Something measurable, something consistent. And it started 72 hours ago. She picks up a file folder, drops it on the table. October 28th, first motion alert. Building 219. October 29th, audio anomaly. Building 70. October 30th, thermal signature. Arnold House. Pritchard opens the folder, scans the reports. And tonight? Tonight is October 31st. Marsh's voice drops. The same date Michael Cordero died. The same date Captain Cordero walked onto that highway. The same date carved into that dog tag we found. She leans on the table. Whatever this is, it's building. And it's building toward something. Pritchard closes the folder. What do you recommend? I recommend we stop pretending this is normal. Marsh straightens. I recommend we bring in people who know what they're looking for. Pritchard stares at her. You mean paranormal investigators? I mean people with equipment and experience we don't have. This stays classified. Yes, sir. No press, no publicity, no leaks. Understood. Pritchard stands. Make the call. The archive room sits 3 levels underground. No windows, no cell signal. Just fluorescent lights humming overhead and the smell of old paper. Technical Sergeant Hale walks between metal shelves, files stacked floor to ceiling. Decades of classified material, most of it forgotten. Captain Marsh walks beside him, flashlight in hand even though the lights work fine. Building 18F archives, she says. Everything from the Blue Book era, most of it digitized now, but the original files are still here. Hale stops at a shelf marked 1952 to 1955. What are we looking for? Anything connected to those three buildings. Anything from October 31st. Anything with the name Cordero. They split up. Hale takes the left side, Marsh takes the right. Dust rises with every file pulled. Some folders are thin, just a few pages. Others are thick, hundreds of documents bundled with rubber bands that crumble when touched. Hale finds it first. "Captain." Marsh crosses to him. He's holding a folder, brown faded, stamped with red letters. Classified, eyes only, Project Blue Book. She takes it, opens it carefully. The first page is a report, typed on an old manual typewriter. Letters slightly uneven. Incident report, 1952-47B. Date, 31st of October, 1952. Location, Wright-Patterson, AFB, Ohio. Reporting officer, Captain Raymond Cordero. Marsh reads aloud. At approximately 21:45 hours, radar station reported unidentified aerial contact. No transponder, no flight plan. Object moving at estimated 700 miles per hour. Altitude fluctuating. Erratic movement pattern. Hale leans closer. Two F-86 Sabres scrambled from runway 6. Visual contact established at 11:03 a.m. Pilots report object described as spherical, metallic surface. No visible propulsion, no wings, no exhaust trail. Marsh flips the page. Object descended rapidly. Pilots lost visual contact at 10:08 p.m. Last known position, Marsh reads slower now. I don't know what we brought back. Engineers can't cut it, can't scan it. Geiger counter shows nothing. X-ray shows nothing. It's solid, but we can't determine what it's made of. She pauses, but that's not what bothers me. Hale shifts his weight. What bothers me is the sound. Marsh looks up, then back down. When you get close to it, you hear something. Not with your ears, inside your head, like a frequency you can feel but not hear. Makes your teeth ache, makes your eyes water. Another pause. 3 of my men had to leave the room, said they felt sick, said they heard whispering. Hale's jaw tightens. I stayed. Someone had to document this. Someone had to make sure protocols were followed. Marsh flips ahead, several pages missing, just torn edges where they used to be. The next entry is dated 2 weeks later. Personal log, Captain R. Cordero, 15, November 1952, 2,200 hours. Michael is sick, high fever. Base doctor says it's meningitis. Started suddenly. He was fine this morning. Short entry. Next one is the same day, different time. 16, November 1952, 0600 hours. Fever won't break. They're keeping him at home. Don't want to move him. Doctor says it could be dangerous. I'm staying with him. My wife is beside herself. Marsh's voice goes quieter. 29th of October, 1952, 1400 hours. Michael keeps talking about the cold man. Says he sees him in his room at night. Says the cold man wants him to come outside. Says the cold man is waiting. Hale exhales slow. I told him it's just fever dreams. Just his imagination. But he's so specific. Describes a figure standing by his window. Tall, thin, wearing something dark. Says the cold man doesn't have a face. Next entry, 30 October 1952, 2100 hours. Michael's getting worse. Fever at 105. He's not responsive anymore. Doctor says we need to get him to hospital. But Michael woke up an hour ago, just for a minute, looked right at me. Said the cold man told him something. Pause. Said the cold man told him we brought him here. Marsh stops reading. Hale stares at the page. Keep going. She turns to the last entry. 31st October 1952, 23:40 hours. Just 3 lines. Michael died at 23:30 hours. He stopped breathing. Doctor tried everything. Second line. Before he died, he opened his eyes, looked at the window, smiled. Third line. The object in Building 70 is gone. Storage unit empty. No signs of forced entry. Security logged no movement. It just vanished. Marsh closes the folder. Hale doesn't move. That's it? No. She pulls another document from the folder. Incident report. Different handwriting. Security incident. 18 January 1953. Subject. Captain Raymond Cordero. Subject found in Building 70 at 0400 hours. Alone. Sitting in empty storage unit where object was kept. Unresponsive to commands. Repeated phrase. He's still here. He's waiting. Next paragraph. Subject removed from base. Psychological E. Next paragraph. Subject removed from base. Psychological evaluation ordered. Discharged from service 22nd January 1953. Transferred to VA Psychiatric Facility, Cleveland, Ohio. Last paragraph. Subject escaped facility 15 April 1953. Found deceased same day. Stepped into traffic on Interstate 70. Witness reports subject was smiling. Marsh puts the document back. He saw something in that storage unit. Something that took his son, and then it took him. Hale's voice is rough. Where's the object now? Unknown. File says investigation closed. No further incidents reported. She looks at him. But Building 70 is active again. Hale turns toward the door. We need to check that storage unit. It's been sealed for 50 years. Then we unseal it. Marsh follows him out. Behind them, the lights flicker, just once, then steady again. Building 219 stands at the edge of the base. 3 stories, red brick, windows boarded up. Chain link fence around the perimeter with signs every 10 feet. Condemned, no entry, authorized personnel only. Staff Sergeant Monica Voss stands outside the fence, arms crossed, breath misting in the cold. She's been security forces for 8 years, done 3 tours overseas, seen combat, seen death. She's not scared easily, but she doesn't want to go inside. Airman First Class Derek Corey stands beside her, younger, 23. This is his first assignment. He keeps shifting his weight foot to foot. Motion sensors went off again, Voss says. 3rd time tonight. Corey nods, doesn't speak. Command wants us to do a walkthrough, make sure no one's squatting inside. Make sure the building's secure. She pulls bolt cutters from her pack, approaches the gate. The padlock is new, installed 2 days ago after the first incident. She cuts through it in 3 seconds. The chain rattles as it falls. Stay close, stay alert. We go in together, we come out together. Corey pulls his flashlight, checks his radio. Copy. They walk across the lot. Weeds pushing through cracked asphalt. Trash blown against the walls. A rusted wheelchair on its side near the entrance. The front door is steel, painted gray, streaked with rust. Voss tries the handle. Locked. She pulls the key from her pocket. Standard master key for all condemned buildings. The lock turns hard, like it hasn't been opened in years. The door swings inward. Darkness inside, complete. Their flashlights cut narrow beams through it. Ground floor first, Voss says. Then we work our way up. They step inside. The smell hits immediately. Mildew, rot, Something else underneath. Something sharp and chemical. The lobby stretches ahead. Peeling linoleum floor. Water damage on the walls. A reception desk covered in dust. Corey sweeps his light left to right. Motion sensors are on the second floor. Pediatric ward. Voss nods. We'll get there. First we clear this They move down the hallway. Doors on both sides. Most of them closed. Voss checks each one. Examination rooms. Supply closets. All empty. All gutted. At the end of the hall, stairs leading up. Corey stops. You hear that? Voss listens. Silence. Hear what? I thought I heard. He trails off. Nothing. Never mind. They climb the stairs, steps creaking under their boots, handrail cold and slick. Second floor. The hallway here is longer, more doors, signs still hanging on some of them. Pediatrics, Ward B, radiology, pharmacy. Voss's radio crackles. Security forces, this is dispatch, status check. She keys the mic. Dispatch, we're on the second floor. Beginning sweep now. Copy, motion sensor still active. Northeast corner, room 214. Voss looks at the nearest door, room 206. We're heading there now. They move down the hall, flashlights sweeping, their shadows stretching long behind them. Room 210, room 212. The temperature drops. Corey notices first. It's cold. Voss sees her breath now. White fog in the flashlight beam. Yeah. Room 214. The door is closed, but not latched. Hanging open just an inch. Voss puts her hand on it, pushes slowly. The room opens. 4 beds, metal frames, mattresses stripped, 4 poles standing like skeletons in the corners. Windows covered with plywood, light bleeding through cracks. Voss steps inside. Corey follows. Their flashlights sweep the space. Nothing. Clear, Voss says. Then Corey's light catches something. Sergeant, he's pointing at the wall. Frost. Not just condensation. Actual frost, spreading across the wall in patterns, like ferns, like branches. Voss moves closer. It's growing, slowly, but definitely growing, spreading outward from a point near the window. She touches it, ice cold. Her finger comes away wet. How is this possible? It's 50 degrees outside. Voss doesn't answer, because she hears it now. What Corey heard downstairs. Humming, soft, high-pitched, a child's voice, coming from somewhere in the room. She spins, flashlight cutting across the beds, the corners, the ceiling. Nothing. Who's there? The humming stops. Silence. Then 3 knocks. Behind them. They both turn. The door is closed. Corey moves to it, tries the handle. Locked. It wasn't locked, he says. We just came through it. Voss keys her radio. Dispatch, we need backup. Building 219, second floor. We're static. Pure static. No voice. No response. She tries again. Nothing. Radio's dead, she says. Corey pulls his. Same thing. Just static. The humming starts again. Louder now. Coming from under one of the beds. Voss approaches slowly. Flashlight aimed low. She bends down, looks underneath. Nothing there. But the humming continues, right next to her ear now. She jerks back. Corey is at the door, pulling on the handle, kicking it. It won't open. Voss joins him, both of them pulling. The door doesn't budge. Behind them, something moves. They hear it. A sliding sound, metal on linoleum. They turn. One of the IV poles is moving, slowly, across the floor, toward them. Not rolling, not falling, moving. Corey raises his flashlight like a weapon. What the hell? The frost on the wall spreads faster now, racing across the surface, covering the entire wall in seconds. And in the frost, letters appear, written from inside the ice. Help us. Voss grabs Corey's arm. The window. They rush to it. Voss kicks the plywood once, twice. It splinters. Third kick. It breaks. Cold air rushes in. They climb through, drop to the fire escape outside, boots clanging on metal. They're down the stairs in seconds, across the lot, through the gate. Only when they reach the fence line do they stop, breathing hard, hearts pounding. Voss looks back at the building. Every window on the second floor is dark, except one. Room 214. A light is on inside. Dimension, flickering. And in the window, a shadow. Small, child-sized, standing still, watching them. Voss grabs her radio, tries again. This time it works. Dispatch, this is Voss. Building 219 is not secure. Repeat, not secure. We need the building sealed, now. Copy. What did you find? Voss stares at the window. The shadow is gone. The light is off. I don't know, she says quietly. But she does know. She just doesn't want to say it. Behind them, from inside the building, they hear it. 3 knocks. Then silence. Then 3 more. Building 70 sits at the back of the base. No windows, just concrete walls and a flat roof. Single entry point, steel door with a cipher lock. It looks like every other warehouse on Wright-Patterson, but it isn't. Senior Airman Tyler Greenfield stands in the security office watching 6 monitors. Each one shows a different angle of Building 70's interior. Empty corridors, storage racks, shelves stacked with equipment crates. Nothing moving, but the motion alarms keep triggering. He checks the log. 1:42 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. 1:58 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. 2:13 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. 2:29 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. Same location, every 15 minutes. His supervisor told him to monitor it. Don't respond unless you see actual movement. So he watches. The camera feeds are color, night vision mode off. Lights inside the building stay on 24/7. Standard security protocol for storage facilities. Greenfield leans back in his chair, sips cold coffee. Eyes on the screens. Corridor C is empty. Has been empty all night. He pulls up the maintenance logs, checks for electrical issues, HVAC problems, anything that could trigger sensors. Everything green. He switches camera angles. Corridor A, Corridor B, Storage Bay 1, Storage Bay 2. All clear. Back to Corridor C. Still empty. He yawns, rubs his eyes. When he looks again, the lights are flickering. Just in Corridor C. Nowhere else. On, off, on, off. Rapid, like a strobe. Greenfield sits up, keys his radio. Dispatch, this is Monitor Station 3. I've got electrical malfunction in Building 70, Corridor C. Advising maintenance. Copy, Monitor 3. Maintenance is off duty until 6 a.m. Can you verify if it's affecting operations? He watches the screen. The flickering stops. Lights steady now. Negative, dispatch. Lights are stable. Might have been a temporary surge. Copy. Log it and continue monitoring. He logs the incident. Timestamps it. Goes back to watching. 2:45 a.m. The motion alarm triggers again. Corridor. Building 70 sits at the back of the base. No windows. Just concrete walls and a flat roof. Single entry point. Steel door with a cipher lock. It looks like every other warehouse on Wright-Patterson, but it isn't. Senior Airman Tyler Greenfield stands in the security office watching 6 monitors. Each one shows a different angle of Building 70's interior. Empty corridors, storage racks, shelves stacked with equipment crates. Nothing moving, but the motion alarms keep triggering. He checks the log. 1:42 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. 1:58 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. 2:13 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. 2:29 a.m., motion detected, corridor C. Same location, every 15 minutes. His supervisor told him to monitor it. Don't respond unless you see actual movement. So he watches. The camera feeds are color, night vision mode off. Lights inside the building stay on 24/7. Standard security protocol for storage facilities. Greenfield leans back in his chair, sips cold coffee, eyes on the screens. Corridor C is empty, has been empty all night. He pulls up the maintenance logs, checks for electrical issues, HVAC problems, anything that could trigger sensors. Everything green. He switches camera angles. Corridor A, Corridor B, Storage Bay 1, Storage Bay 2. All clear. Back to Corridor C. Still empty. He yawns, rubs his eyes. When he looks again, the lights are flickering. Just in Corridor C, nowhere else. On, off, on, off. Rapid, like a strobe. Greenfield sits up, keys his radio. Dispatch, this is Monitor Station 3. I've got electrical malfunction in Building 70, Corridor C. Advising maintenance. Copy, Monitor 3. Maintenance is off duty until 6 a.m. Can you verify if it's affecting operations? He watches the screen. The flickering stops. Lights steady now. Negative, dispatch. Lights are stable. Might have been empty corridor. Then the alarm. Then still empty. No movement. No shadow. Nothing. He runs a diagnostic on the sensor. System reports normal function. This doesn't make sense, he mutters. He switches to thermal overlay, checks for heat signatures. The corridor shows ambient temperature, 68 degrees, except for one spot, near the far wall, a cold zone, roughly 6 feet tall, 2 feet wide, 34 degrees. He frowns, checks the HVAC system. No vents in that section, no cooling units, no reason for a cold spot. He watches. The cold zone moves, slowly, down the corridor, toward the camera. Greenfield's hand freezes on the mouse. What the? It keeps moving, steady, deliberate. He switches back to visual. Nothing there. But on thermal, the cold shape continues forward, getting closer. He zooms in. The shape is humanoid. Head, torso, limbs, moving like a person walking. But there's no one there. Greenfield grabs his radio. Dispatch, I need a unit to Building 70. Possible intruder. Monitor 3, you have visual confirmation? He hesitates. Negative. I have thermal signature. Something's moving in Corridor C. Copy. Sending a unit now. Stand by. He keeps watching. The cold figure reaches the end of the corridor, stops at the door leading to Storage Bay 2. The door is closed. On screen, the handle turns. By itself. The door swings open. The cold figure moves through. Greenfield switches cameras. Storage Bay 2. Rows of metal shelving. Wooden crates stacked 8 feet high. Everything labeled and cataloged. The thermal overlay shows the cold signature entering the bay. moving between the shelves. He tracks it, camera to camera. It stops, middle of the bay, near a specific shelf unit, marked Section 12B/Cold Storage Archives/1950 to 1960. Greenfield zooms in. The cold figure stands motionless. Then it reaches out. He sees it on thermal, an arm extending, hand touching something on the shelf. Visual camera shows nothing, but then a crate moves, slides forward, 6 inches, stops. No hands touching it, no wires, no mechanism. It just moves. Jesus Christ, Greenfield whispers. His radio crackles. Monitor 3, security forces approaching Building 70 now, ETA 2 minutes. Whew. Copy. He watches the screen. The crate slides further, falls off the shelf, crashes to the floor. Wood splinters, contents spill out. Files, documents, old photographs. The cold signature bends down, like it's looking at something. Greenfield's hands are shaking now. The lights start flickering again, all through Building 70 this time. Every corridor, every bay, strobing fast, on, off, on, off. He tries to adjust the cameras. The feeds cut out. All 6 screens go black. No, no, no. He reboots the system. Takes 30 seconds. The screens flicker back on. Building 70 interior. Lights steady now. Corridor C, empty. Storage bay 2, empty, except for the broken crate on the floor. His radio crackles again. Monitor 3, we're at Building 70, entering now. Copy, be advised. Possible activity in Storage Bay 2. Check Section 12B. Understood. Greenfield watches the entry camera. 2 security forces personnel enter. Flashlights on, even though the lights work. They move down Corridor C. He switches cameras, follows their progress. They reach Storage Bay 2, stop at the broken crate. One of them kneels, examines the contents, keys his radio. Monitor 3, we've got a broken crate here. Looks old. Contents are files, some kind of incident reports. Any signs of forced entry? Negative. Door was locked when we got here. No tampering, no footprints, just this crate. Greenfield checks thermal. No cold signatures, normal temperature throughout. Copy. Secure the area and document everything. Will do. The 2 airmen start collecting the scattered papers. Greenfield watches them work. Then he sees it on the camera. Behind them, the lights flicker once, and for just a fraction of a second a figure appears, tall, thin, standing between the shelves. Then the lights steady, and it's gone. He rewinds the footage, watches frame by frame. There, 1 frame, maybe 2. A shape, dark, indistinct, but definitely there. He saves the clip, tags it, timestamps it. His heart is hammering. The radio crackles. Monitor 3, we found something. Go ahead. One of these files. It's a storage manifest from 1952. Lists an object retrieved October 31st. Designation, unknown origin. Says it was kept in this exact location. Says the object went missing November 15th, 1952. No explanation. Just marked as missing. Greenfield stares at the screen. Copy that. Bring everything back for analysis. Roger. He watches them bag the documents. Secure the area. Exit the building. The cameras show empty corridors again, but Greenfield keeps watching because he knows whatever was there is still there. It didn't leave. It's just waiting. Arnold House stands isolated at the northwest corner of the base. 2 stories, white paint peeling, black shutters hanging crooked, wraparound porch sagging on one side. Nobody's lived here in 4 years. Nobody's supposed to go near it. But at 3:47 a.m., the perimeter alarm trips. Motion detected, east side of the structure. Captain Marsh gets the call at 3:52 a.m. She's been awake since yesterday, running on coffee and adrenaline. How many sensors? She asks. 3, sequential trigger pattern, like someone walking along the side of the building. Send 2 units, full sweep. I'm heading there now. She grabs her jacket, her radio, her sidearm. The drive takes 4 minutes. When she arrives, 2 security forces vehicles are already there, lights off, parked 50 feet back. 4 airmen standing outside, weapons ready, watching the house. Marsh gets out, approaches the team leader, Staff Sergeant Chen. 15 years security forces. Solid. Reliable. Status, Marsh says. Chen doesn't take his eyes off the house. Perimeter sensors tripped at 3:47 a.m. East side. We arrived at 3:51 a.m. No visual contact. No signs of forced entry. You go inside yet? Negative. Waiting for your authorization. Marsh looks at the house. All windows dark. Front door closed. Chain still on the porch railing where Hale left it 2 days ago. But something feels wrong. The air is too still, too quiet. No wind, no birds, no ambient sound. Just silence. We go in pairs, Marsh says. Chen, you're with me. Davis and Ortega, you cover the perimeter. Anything moves, you radio immediately. Yes, ma'am. Chen pulls a key ring. Master keys for all condemned structures. They approach the front porch, steps creaking under their boots. The chain is still there, padlock intact. Chen unlocks it. The chain rattles as it falls. He tries the door handle. Locked. He uses another key. The deadbolt clicks open. The door swings inward. Darkness inside. Complete. They turn on their flashlights, draw their sidearms. Wright-Patterson security forces, Chen calls out. If anyone's inside, identify yourself now. Silence. They enter. The smell hits immediately. Mold, dust, decay, and something else. Something cold and metallic, like old coins, like blood. The foyer stretches ahead, staircase on the right, hallway on the left, doorways leading to other rooms. Marsh's flashlight sweeps across peeling wallpaper, water stains, gaps in the floorboards. Ground floor first, she says quietly. They move left, into what used to be a living room. Furniture covered with sheets, thick dust on everything. No footprints, no disturbance. Next room, dining room. Long table, 8 chairs, all empty. Kitchen, counters bare, cabinets open, nothing inside. Clear, Chen says. They return to the foyer, face the stairs. Marsh keys her radio. Davis, Ortega, status. Perimeter secure, no movement. Copy. We're heading upstairs. She looks at Chen. He nods. They climb. Each step groans. The railing wobbles under Marsh's hand. Second floor landing. 4 doors. All closed. The temperature drops. Marsh sees her breath now. White fog in the flashlight beam. You feel that? Chen whispers. Yeah. She approaches the first door. Left side. Touches the handle. Ice cold. She pushes it open. Bedroom. Small. Child-sized bed against the wall. Dresser. Empty bookshelf. Frost on the window glass. Thick, crystalline patterns spreading across the pane. Inside frost, Chen says. How is that possible? Marsh doesn't answer, because she's looking at the wall. Someone wrote something in the frost. Letters. Small. Careful. Michael. She steps closer. Below the name, more writing. I'm still here. Her radio crackles. "Captain, this is Davis. We've got movement. South side, second floor window." Marsh spins, looks at Chen. "That's this floor." They exit the room, move down the hall. Last door on the right. It's open. Just a crack. Light coming from inside. Not flashlight. Something else. Dimension. Flickering. Chen raises his weapon. Marsh pushes the door. It swings open. The room is empty, but in the center of the floor, a candle burns. Small, white, melted wax pooling around the base. Nobody lit it. Nobody's been inside this house for days. Chen steps forward, kneels beside it. Still warm, recently lit. Marsh scans the room. Closet door open. Nothing inside. Window closed. Locked from the inside. This doesn't make sense. Her radio crackles again. "Captain, we just heard something. Sounds like knocking. Coming from inside." Marsh and Chen freeze. They listen. Silence. Then they hear it. 3 knocks from downstairs. Slow, deliberate, evenly spaced. Marsh keys her radio. "Davis, where are you right now?" "Outside, east side, both of us." "Stay there. Do not enter." She looks at Chen. "Someone's downstairs." They move to the staircase. Weapons ready, flashlights aimed down. The foyer is empty. They descend, slow, careful. Reach the bottom. 3 more knocks. Coming from the kitchen, they move toward it. Chen first, Marsh covering. Kitchen doorway ahead. Chen peers around the corner, shakes his head. Empty. They enter. Nothing there. But the back door is open. The door that leads outside, to the backyard. It wasn't open before. Marsh approaches, looks out. Yard overgrown. Weeds waist high. Old fence falling apart. Nothing moving. Chen checks the doorframe. No forced entry. Locks intact. Door was opened from the inside. Marsh's jaw tightens. "We were the only ones inside." "I know." 3 more knocks. Behind them, they turn. Nobody there. Just the empty kitchen. The knocking continues. 3 beats. Pause. 3 more. Coming from the walls. Moving. Starting in the kitchen. Then the hallway. Then the foyer, heading upstairs. Marsh and Chen follow the sound. Back to the staircase. Up to the 2nd floor. The knocking stops. At the child's bedroom. The door is closed now. Marsh reaches for the handle. It turns before she touches it. The door opens. The room is different. The frost on the window is gone, but now the entire room is cold, below freezing, and on the bed, something sits. Small, dark, indistinct. A shape, child-sized. Chen's flashlight beam hits it. It doesn't reflect, doesn't illuminate, just seems to absorb the light. The shape turns toward them. No face, no features, just darkness. Marsh feels her chest tighten. Her breath catches. The shape stands. Chen backs up, hands shaking, weapon aimed. "What is that?" The shape takes a step forward. Marsh grabs Chen's arm. "Out, now!" They retreat, fast, down the hall, down the stairs. The knocking starts again, all around them. Walls, ceiling, floor, dozens of knocks, overlapping, echoing. They reach the front door. Chen pulls it open. They're outside, on the porch, breathing hard. Davis and Ortega run over. "Captain, what happened?" Marsh stares at the house. Every window on the 2nd floor is lit now. Dimension, flickering, like candlelight, but they didn't light any candles, just one, and they left it upstairs. "Seal this building," Marsh says, voice steady, controlled. "Nobody enters. Nobody goes near it. Post guards at 50 feet. 24-hour watch." "Yes, ma'am." Chen is still staring at the window. "Captain, What was that thing? Marsh doesn't answer, because she doesn't know. She just knows it's still in there, waiting. At 4:12 a.m., all the lights in Arnold House go out. At once, the guards report no movement, no sound, nothing. But at 4:13 a.m., motion sensors around the building all trigger simultaneously. East side, west side, north side, south side, like something circling the structure. Fast, then silence. The sensors go quiet. Marsh stands 50 feet back, watching. Her radio crackles. "Captain, thermal's picking up something." "What?" "Cold signatures, multiple, inside the house. Every room, all at once." She feels cold settle in her gut. "How many?" 14. The conference room is cold. Colonel Pritchard sits at the head of the table. Captain Marsh to his right. Technical Sergeant Hale to his left. Across from them, 3 civilians: Jason Hawes, Grant Wilson, Steve Gonzalez, TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. They look out of place. Casual clothes, equipment bags at their feet, no uniforms, no rank insignia. But they're here because the military can't explain what's happening. And that doesn't sit well with anyone in uniform. Pritchard opens a folder, doesn't look up. "Let me be clear. This is not an official investigation. This is a consultation. You're here under strict NDA. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you document, it's classified." Hawes nods, calm, professional. "Understood, Colonel. We've worked with federal agencies before. We know how this goes." "Good." Pritchard looks up now, because if anything leaks, if one word gets out to press, to internet forums, to anyone, I will personally ensure you never work again. Are we clear?" "Crystal clear, sir." Marsh slides 3 folders across the table. These are incident reports from the past 72 hours. 3 locations: Building 219, Building 70, Arnold House. Read them. The TAPS team opens the folders. They read in silence. Wilson's eyebrows raise. He exchanges a glance with Hawes. Gonzalez flips through pages, stops on something, reads it twice. "These thermal signatures," he says, "the cold spots, they're consistent across all 3 locations?" "Yes," Marsh says. "And your equipment checks out? No malfunctions?" "We've run diagnostics 4 times. Everything's functional." Hawes leans back. "Audio recordings. You have them?" "Yes." "Can we hear them?" Marsh nods to Hale. He pulls out a laptop, opens an audio file. Static first, then underneath, voices. Faint, overlapping, can't make out words, just murmuring, like a crowd talking in another room. "This was recorded in Building 219, Hale says. "Second floor. Nobody was inside." Another file. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. Then silence. "Arnold House. Multiple recordings. Same pattern. 3rd file. A child's voice. Clear this time. We never left." The room goes quiet. Wilson shifts in his seat. "That's distinct. Voice recognition? No match in any database," Hale says. Hawes closes the folder. "When do we start?" Pritchard folds his hands. "Tonight, 2,100 hours. You'll have full access to all 3 locations. Security escort at all times. You bring your equipment. You document everything. You report findings directly to Captain Marsh. Nobody else." "What's the objective?" Grant asks. "Determine if there's a rational explanation. Environmental factors, electrical interference, structural issues, anything that can explain what we're seeing." Hawes meets his eyes. "And if there isn't a rational explanation?" Pritchard's jaw tightens. "Then we need to know what we're dealing with." He stands. Everyone else follows. "Captain Marsh will brief you on base protocols. You deploy at 9 p.m. Any questions?" "Just one," Hawes says. "Has anyone been hurt?" Marsh and Pritchard exchange glances. "Not yet," Marsh says quietly. "Good. Let's keep it that way." 7:45 p.m. Equipment staging. The TAPS team sets up in a vacant hangar. Tables covered with equipment, EMF detectors, digital recorders, night vision cameras, thermal imaging, motion sensors. Marsh watches from the doorway. Hale stands beside her. "You think they can figure this out?" he asks. "I don't know, but we're out of options." Hawes approaches, carrying a case. "Captain, we'll need building layouts, electrical schematics, HVAC systems, anything that could produce false readings. Already compiled." She hands him a flash drive. Everything's on there, including historical records, previous incidents, maintenance logs. Previous incidents? Going back to 1952. Hawes's expression shifts. "That's a long pattern." "Yes, it is." Wilson calls from across the hangar. "Jason, we're ready." Hawes pockets the drive. "We'll start with building 219, work our way through. If we find something, we'll let you know immediately." "How will you communicate?" "Radios don't work reliably inside those structures. We've got our own system, closed frequency, military grade." Marsh nods. "Security team will be stationed outside each building. You need anything, they're there." "Understood." "Understood." Hawes starts to turn. Stops. "Captain, off the record. Have you been inside these buildings?" "Yes." "What did you see?" She hesitates. "Things I can't explain." He holds her gaze. "That's what we're here for." 9 p.m. Deployment. 3 black vans leave the hangar, each one headed to a different location. Hawes and Wilson take Building 219. Gonzalez takes Building 70 with 2 technicians. Third team heads to Arnold House. Marsh rides with Hawes. The van is quiet, just road noise and equipment rattling. Wilson checks his gear. EMF detector, digital recorder, thermal camera. "You ever been on a military investigation before?" Marsh asks. "Once," Hawes says. "Naval facility in Virginia, submarine base. They were getting readings in the old barracks. Turned out to be underground cables causing electromagnetic interference." "You think that's what this is?" "I think we'll find out." The van stops. Building 219 ahead. Floodlights on the perimeter. 2 security forces vehicles parked outside. They get out, grab equipment. Chan approaches. "Building secure. No activity since 6 p.m. "Copy that," Marsh says. Hawes and Wilson approach the entrance. Marsh unlocks it. The door swings open. Darkness inside. Hawes turns on his flashlight. Wilson follows. They step in. Marsh stays at the threshold. "You sure you want to do this?" she asks. Hawes looks back, smiles. "This is what we do, Captain." They disappear into the building. Marsh watches from outside, radio in hand. Chen stands beside her. "Think they'll find anything?" "They'll find something. Question is whether they'll understand it." Inside, Hawes and Wilson reach the second floor. Their flashlights sweep the hallway. Wilson pulls out the EMF detector, turns it on. Immediately it spikes. Red zone. "That's not normal," he says. Hawes checks his detector. Same reading. Baseline EMF should be near 0 in an abandoned building. They move down the hall. The readings climb higher. At room 214, the detectors max out. "Off the scale," Wilson says. Hawes tries the door. Locked. He looks at Marsh through the window at the end of the hall, holds up his radio. "Captain, we need access to room 214. Her voice crackles back. "That's where the frost was." "You sure?" "Positive." 30 seconds later, Chen enters with keys. He unlocks the door, steps back. "You're clear." Hawes pushes it open. The room is dark, cold. Their breath fogs immediately. Wilson aims the thermal camera. Temperature's 42 degrees, 20 degrees colder than the hallway. They step inside. EMF detectors screaming now. Hawes sets up a stationary camera, infrared, pointed at the center of the room. Wilson places audio recorders, 3 of them, triangulated. "Let's do an EVP session," Hawes says. They stand in the middle of the room. Hawes speaks clearly. "My name is Jason. This is Grant. We're here to help. If someone's here, can you make your presence known?" Silence. Wilson checks the EMF. Still maxed out. "Can you tell us your name?" Nothing. "Are you the one who wrote on the wall?" The temperature drops. 40 degrees, 38, 35. "You're seeing this?" Wilson whispers. "Yeah." Frost forms on the window, fast, spreading across the glass. Then letters appear, written from inside the ice. "Help." Hawes's hand tightens on the detector. "Who needs help?" More letters. U.S. Wilson's camera is recording everything. "How many of you are here?" The frost spreads, covers the entire window, and in it a number forms. 14. Hawes looks at Wilson. 14. The lights flicker. Once. Twice. Then steady. Outside, Marsh's radio crackles. Chen's voice. Urgent. "Captain, Building 70 just went dark. Total power failure." She keys the mic. "Get emergency lighting on. Where's the TAPS team?" Inside, they're not responding. Her chest tightens. "Send backup. Now." She looks at Building 219. Through the window, she sees flashlight beams moving. At least Hawes and Wilson are still operational. Her radio crackles again. Different voice. Panicked. "This is Arnold House Security. We've got movement. Multiple signatures. All around the structure. There. Static. Dead air. Arnold House, repeat. Status. Nothing." Marsh runs to the van, grabs the emergency frequency radio.
"All units, this is Captain Marsh. We have simultaneous events at all 3 locations. Converge on Arnold House. Code red. Full response." She looks at Chen. "Stay with the TAPS team. Don't let them out of your sight." "Yes, ma'am." She gets in the van. Engine already running. Drives toward Arnold House. Behind her, in Building 219, the frost continues spreading. And beneath the number 14, more words appear. "We're waiting." Building 70 is pitch black inside. Emergency lights haven't kicked in. Gonzalez stands in Corridor C with 2 technicians, Ramirez and Kim. Their flashlights cut narrow beams through darkness. "Power grid shows active," Kim says, checking a handheld meter. "Building should have electricity." "But it doesn't," Gonzalez says. He pulls his EMF detector, turns it on. The needle jumps immediately. Red zone. Something's pulling massive electromagnetic energy, more than I've ever seen. Ramirez sets up a thermal camera on a tripod, aims it down the corridor. The screen shows ambient temperature, 65 degrees, except for one spot, 20 feet ahead, a cold mass, roughly human-shaped, 32 degrees. "You seeing this?" Ramirez whispers. Gonzalez looks at the screen. The cold shape isn't moving, just standing there. He aims his flashlight down the corridor. Nothing visible, but on thermal, the shape remains. "Let's get closer." They move forward, slow, equipment humming. 10 feet away now, the EMF detector spikes higher, off the scale. 5 feet. The temperature drops around them. Their breath crystallizes. Gonzalez stops. The cold shape is directly in front of him. On thermal, it's clear, defined, human proportions. But visually nothing, just empty air. "I'm going to try communication," he says quietly. He raises his digital recorder. "My name is Steve. We're here to understand what's happening. If you can hear me, please respond." Silence. Just the hum of equipment. "Can you tell us why you're here?"
The EMF detector screams, then dies. Screen goes black. Kim's meter shuts off. Ramirez's thermal camera flickers, goes dark. All electronics dead. Only flashlights still work. What just happened? Kim asks. Gonzalez tries his recorder. Nothing. Tries the EMF. Dead. Energy drain. Something pulled power from everything. Ramirez checks the thermal camera. Won't turn on. This was fully charged. Batteries completely drained. A sound echoes down the corridor. Metallic. Like something scraping. They turn. Flashlight beams sweep left to right. Nothing there. The scraping continues, getting closer. We should move, Ramirez says. Gonzalez keys his radio. Static. He tries again. Captain Marsh, this is Gonzalez. Do you copy? Dead air. Radio's not working either. Kim pulls a backup flashlight from his pack, clicks it on. The beam flickers. DIMS. Dies. Brand new batteries, he says, voice tight. The scraping stops. Now they hear breathing. Not theirs. Something else. Close. Right next to them. Gonzalez spins. Flashlight sweeping. Empty corridor. But the breathing continues. Slow. Ragged. Wet. Like something struggling for air. We're leaving, Gonzalez says. Now. They move back toward the entrance. Fast. Behind them, footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Following. Ramirez looks back. Flashlight beam catches something. A shadow. Tall. Elongated. Moving along the wall. But there's nothing casting it. No body. No source. Just the shadow. Move faster. They break into a run. Arnold House. 9:47 p.m. Marsh arrives to chaos. 4 security forces vehicles. Lights flashing. Personnel taking cover behind them. The house is lit up. Every window. Every room. Bright flickering light pouring out. But nobody turned the lights on. There's no electricity connected to Arnold House. Hasn't been for 4 years. Staff Sergeant Voss runs over. Captain, the team that was inside, they made it out. Barely. What happened? They got to the 2nd floor. Started setting up equipment. Then every door in the house slammed shut. All at once. They said the walls started shaking. Pictures falling. Furniture moving. Marsh stares at the house. Where are they now? Medical. 2 of them are in shock. Won't talk. 3rd one kept saying the same thing over and over. What? They're awake now. A sound from the house. Loud. Resonating. Knocking. But not 3 knocks. Dozens. Hundreds. Coming from every wall. Every window. Every surface. Rapid. Overlapping. Building in intensity. Get everyone back, Marsh orders. 50 yards. Now. Personnel retreat. Engines start. Vehicles pull back. Marsh stands alone, watching. The knocking reaches a crescendo, then stops. Complete silence. The lights inside the house flicker. Once. Twice. Then go out. Total darkness. Marsh keys her radio. Hawes. Wilson. Status. Static. Then Hawes's voice. We're still in building 219. 2nd floor. You need to see this. Can it wait? Negative. You need to see this now. She looks at the house. Dark. Silent. Voss, maintain perimeter. Nobody approaches. I'm heading to building 219. Yes, ma'am. Marsh gets in her vehicle. Drives fast. 3 minutes later, she's at building 219. Chen meets her at the entrance. They're still in room 214. They've been recording for 30 minutes. Recording what? You'll see. She enters, climbs the stairs, reaches the 2nd floor. Hawes and Wilson stand in the hallway. Equipment everywhere. Cameras, recorders, sensors, all of it running. Hawes looks pale. Captain, we made contact. What kind of contact? Direct. Intelligent. responsive. He leads her to room 214. The door is open. Inside, frost covers everything. Walls, floor, ceiling, and written in the frost, hundreds of words, names, dates, messages, all in the same small handwriting. Marsh steps inside, reads them. Michael Cordero, October 30 forward, 1952. Sarah Phillips, March 15th, 1961. James Cooper, July 22nd, 1958. Anna Wright, December 3rd, 1964. 14 names total, all children, all with dates. These are death records, Wilson says quietly. We cross-referenced with base archives. Every single one of these children died on Wright-Patterson between 1952 and 1987. Marsh feels cold settle deep. They all died here? Most in this building. Medical complications, accidents. One case of meningitis. Building 219 was the pediatric facility. Hawes points to the wall. Below the names, more writing. We never left. We're still here. Help us. He won't let us go. Who won't let them go? Marsh asks. Hawes plays back audio from his recorder. A child's voice, clear, distinct. The cold man. Another voice, different child. He came from the sky. A third voice, younger. He keeps us here. Fourth voice. He's waiting for more. The recording ends. Marsh looks at Hawes. You believe this? I believe we're documenting something. Whether it's genuine paranormal activity or some kind of environmental phenomenon, I don't know yet. But the evidence is compelling. His EMF detector spikes. All of them do, simultaneously. The frost on the walls begins spreading, faster now, creeping across surfaces. And in the frost, new words form. He's coming. Wilson backs toward the door. We should leave. The temperature plummets. 20 degrees. 10. Below zero. Their breath comes out in white clouds so thick they can barely see. The lights in the hallway flicker. Hawes grabs his equipment. Move, now. They exit the room. The door slams behind them. Frost spreads under the door crack, racing down the hallway. Following them. They run for the stairs. Behind them, every door in the corridor flies open, all at once. Wind howls through the building. Not from outside, from inside the rooms, coming from everywhere. They reach the first floor. The front door is frozen shut, ice coating the handle. Chen kicks it, once, twice. It breaks open. They're outside, in the cold October night. The building goes dark, every light out. Then one window illuminates. Second floor, room 214. A figure stands in the window. Small, child-sized. Marsh counts quickly. More figures appear. Different windows. All children, all standing motionless, watching. She counts 14. Her radio crackles, Voss's voice. Captain, Arnold House just lit up again, and Building 70. All 3 locations active simultaneously. Marsh stares at the children in the windows. It's not 3 separate incidents.
Hawes stands beside her.
What do you mean? It's coordinated. Connected. Whatever this is, it's happening everywhere at once. Her radio crackles again. Different voice. Base command. All units, radar contact. Unidentified aerial object. 12 miles northeast. Descending. No transponder. No response to hails. Marsh's blood goes cold. She looks at Hawes. October 31st, 1952. That's when it started. When what started? When the object crashed. When they brought it to Building 70. She keys her radio. Command, what's the object's trajectory? Current path puts it directly over Wright-Patterson. ETA 4 minutes. The children in the windows don't move. Just watch, waiting.
The base goes on alert. Sirens wail across Wright-Patterson.
Red lights flash on every building. Personnel scramble to stations. Vehicles race across runways. F-16 taxis toward launch positions. Marsh stands outside Building 219. Radio pressed to her ear. Command, confirm object status. Still descending, 8 miles out. Altitude dropping. Speed reducing. It's slowing down. Hawes and Wilson pack equipment frantically. What's happening? Wilson asks. Same thing that happened in 1952, Marsh says. Something's coming back. Chen approaches. Weapon ready. Orders, Captain? Get the TAPS team to the command center. Secure all 3 buildings. Nobody in or out. What about the object? Let Intercept handle it. We deal with what's here. She looks at Building 219. The children still stand in the windows, motionless, waiting. Her radio crackles. Captain, this is Gonzalez. Building 70 is active. Lights flickering. Motion sensors going crazy. Something's moving inside. Stay outside. Do not engage. Copy. Another voice. Voss. Arnold House perimeter. We're hearing sounds. Coming from inside. Voices. Multiple. Can't make out words, but there's dozens of them. Marsh's jaw tightens. All units, hold position. Nobody enters those buildings. She keys to command frequency. Command, what's object distance? 4 miles. Altitude, 1,500 feet. Still descending. Speed now, 70 knots. Can you identify it? Negative. Radar signature is inconsistent. Shape appears spherical. Approximately 8 feet diameter. Marsh's chest tightens. 8 feet, same size as the 1952 object. Command, I need historical records pulled. October 31st, 1952. Object retrieval. Captain Raymond Cordero. Stand by. She turns to Hawes. In 1952, an object crashed 12 miles from here. They brought it to Building 70, stored it in cold storage. 2 weeks later, a child died, the captain's son. Then the object vanished. No explanation. Hawes stares at her. You think it's connected? I think whatever they brought back in 1952 never left. And now something's coming to get it. Wilson checks his equipment. All our readings showed massive electromagnetic fields. Energy signatures consistent with what? With something generating its own power source. Something not terrestrial. The sirens intensify. Command radio crackles. All personnel. Object at 2 miles. Altitude 500 feet. Speed 40 knots. It's circling the base. Marsh looks up. Clear night sky. Stars visible. Then she sees it. A light. Not stars. Not aircraft. Moving slowly. Deliberately. Circling. It pulses. Soft blue glow. Rhythmic. Like breathing. Contact confirmed, she says into radio. Visual on object. Northeast quadrant. The light descends lower. 300 feet. 200. It hovers. Directly over the base. Personnel below scatter, taking cover. The light brightens. Inside Building 219, something changes. The children in the windows move, all at once, turning away from the glass, looking at something inside the rooms. Marsh watches them. What are they looking at? Hawes aims a camera, zooms in. Through the window he sees front entrance, Loading bay, emergency exit, all standing wide. Security forces positioned 50 feet back, weapons aimed. Gonzalez stands with them, camera recording. Marsh gets out, approaches. What happened? Doors opened at 11:59 p.m. exactly, all at once. Nobody touched them. They just opened. She looks at her watch. 11:59 p.m. Midnight in 1 minute. October 31st becomes November 1st. It's the anniversary, she says. Of what? The night it all started. 73 years ago tonight. The object overhead descends further, now 30 feet above Building 70. Light so bright they have to shield their eyes. The pulse becomes a steady hum, deep, resonating, felt in bones and teeth. Inside Building 70, lights flicker on, one by one, corridor by corridor, illuminating the interior. And standing in the corridors, figures, dozens of them, small, child-sized, walking slowly, moving toward something, toward the back of the building, toward the old storage section, Section 12B, where the object was kept in 1952. Marsh's watch hits 0000, November 1st. The object overhead stops humming. Complete silence. Then it drops. Not falling, descending, controlled. It enters Building 70 through the roof. No impact, no crash. Just phases through, like the roof isn't there. Gonzalez's camera captures everything. The object descending. The blue light filling the building. The children walking toward it. Then something else. From the shadows of Building 70, another figure emerges. The tall one, the thin one. It moves differently than the children. Gliding, not walking. Arms too long, proportions wrong. It reaches the center of the building. Stops. The children gather around it, forming a circle. The object hovers above them. Light, intensifying. Marsh watches through binoculars. What is it doing? Hawes and Wilson arrive, out of breath. We just reviewed footage from Building 219, Hawes says. Before the blackout, we caught something on audio. He plays it. Multiple children's voices. He came for us. He kept us. Now he's leaving. The recording crackles. Another voice. Deeper. Not human. Mine. The word echoes. Distorted. Mine. Inside Building 70, the light pulses once. Brilliant. Blinding. Everyone turns away. When they look back, the building is dark. No light. No object. No figures. Nothing. Just empty corridors. Silence. Marsh keys her radio. Command. Object status. Static. Then response. Radar contact lost. Object no longer on scope. Vanished from tracking at 1 a.m. She stares at Building 70. Send a team inside. Full sweep. I want to know what's there. Copy. 10 minutes later, security forces enter. Weapons ready. Flashlights sweeping. They move through corridors. Check every room. Nothing. No signs of entry. No damage. No trace. They reach Section 12B, the old storage area, where the crates were, where the 1952 object was kept. The floor is covered in frost, thick, white, crystalline. And in the center, burned into the concrete, a mark, circular, 8 feet in diameter, scorched black, still smoking. One of the airmen kneels, touches it. It's warm. He stands, steps back. Inside the circle, something written. Letters, large, burned into the floor. Returned. Marsh receives the report over radio. She closes her eyes. Seal all 3 buildings. Post guards. 24/7. Nobody enters without my authorization. Yes, ma'am. She turns to Hawes. You get what you needed? He nods slowly. We documented everything, but I don't know if we understand it. Will you include it in your report? I don't know. This is beyond anything we've encountered. Wilson looks shaken. That thing, the tall figure, that's what they meant. The cold man. Marsh nods. It's been here since 1952, feeding on something, keeping those children, using them somehow. And now it's gone, and it took them with it. Gonzalez approaches, still holding his camera. Captain, there's something else. He shows her the footage, final moments before the light surge. Zoomed in on the children's faces. For just one frame, their expressions change. From blank to aware to relieved. They wanted to go, Gonzalez says quietly. Marsh watches the footage again. He's right. In that last moment, the children looked peaceful, like they were finally free. She hands back the camera. Pack up. You're done here. What about the report? Write what you saw. Document everything. Command will decide what gets classified. Hawes starts gathering equipment. For what it's worth, Captain, I believe something was here, and I believe it's gone now. You think it's over? He looks at Building 70, then Building 219, then toward Arnold House. I think whatever was taken in 1952 was returned tonight. I think the debt is paid. Marsh wants to believe him, but she knows better. Nothing on Wright-Patterson is ever really over. The analysis room is underground, level 3, restricted access, concrete walls, no windows, fluorescent lights humming constant, 3 screens mounted on the wall, each one showing different footage. Building 219, Building 70, Arnold House, all recorded between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. Captain Marsh stands at the back, arms crossed. She hasn't slept in 36 hours. At the table, 4 people. Dr. Sarah Chen, astrophysicist. Civilian contractor, 20 years analyzing anomalous phenomena for the Air Force. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, electrical engineer. Systems analysis specialist. Technical Sergeant Lisa Park, communications expert. Signals intelligence. And Hawes, representing TAPS. His footage is what they're analyzing. Colonel Pritchard enters. Door seals behind him. Everyone stands. At ease, they sit. Pritchard moves to the head of the table. I've reviewed preliminary reports. Now I want facts. No speculation, no theories, just data. Dr. Chen pulls up a file on the center screen. We've analyzed all electromagnetic readings collected during the event. Peak measurements occurred at 11:59 p.m. across all 3 locations simultaneously. She clicks. Graph appears. Spikes. Massive. Off scale. Standard baseline EMF in an abandoned building should read between 0.5 and 3 milligauss. Our readings peaked at 847 milligauss in Building 219, 1,203 in Building 70, and 1,856 in Arnold House. Lieutenant Webb leans forward. Those numbers are impossible. You'd need industrial-grade electrical equipment to generate that kind of field, and there's no power running to any of those buildings. Correct, Dr. Chen says, which means the energy source was not terrestrial infrastructure. Pritchard frowns. What are you saying? I'm saying something generated massive electromagnetic fields without any known power source, and it did so in a coordinated pattern across 3 separate locations simultaneously. She pulls up another graph. Here's where it gets more interesting. The frequency signature. Wave patterns fill the screen. Complex. Oscillating. EMF typically produces consistent wave patterns. Power lines, electrical equipment, all predictable. But these signatures are different. She zooms in. They're modulated, pulsing, almost like a communication signal. Sergeant Park speaks up. I analyzed audio recordings from all 3 sites. We captured over 40 distinct voice patterns, all different. All clear, but here's the problem. She plays an audio file. Child's voice. Help us. This was recorded in building 219, room 214. No living person was in that room, but the voice is distinct, clear, no distortion. She plays another, different child. He won't let us go. Building 70. Same thing. No source, just voice. Another file. The Cold Man. Arnold House, second floor. Park pulls up a spectrogram, visual representation of sound waves. When I ran spectral analysis, I found something. These voices aren't produced by human vocal cords. Hawes sits up. What do you mean? Human speech produces specific frequency ranges. Fundamental frequency for children typically falls between 250 and 300 Hz. These recordings measure between 180 and 220 Hz. Too low, and the harmonic structure is wrong. She points to the screen. Human voices produce overtones, natural resonance from throat and mouth cavities. These voices have no overtones, they're pure frequency, like they're being synthesized. Webb shakes his head. So what? Recorded voices played back? No. If they were recordings, we'd detect compression artifacts, digital signatures, tape hiss, something. These have nothing. They're clean. Too clean. Silence. Pritchard breaks it. What about the visual evidence? The figure, the tall one. Dr. Chen switches to video footage. Gonzalez's camera. Building 70. Frame by frame. The figure visible for exactly 43 frames. Less than 2 seconds. Chen freezes on one frame. The figure stands in the corridor, behind the children. Tall, 7 feet at least. Thin, proportions wrong. Arms too long, legs too thin, head elongated. No features, just darkness. I've enhanced this as much as possible. But there's a problem. The figure doesn't reflect light properly. She adjusts contrast. The figure gets darker. Normal objects reflect ambient light. Even in darkness, infrared or low-light cameras pick up surface detail. But this thing absorbs light completely, like a void. Webb studies the image. That's not possible. Nothing absorbs 100% of light, not even Vantablack. I know, but that's what we're seeing. Chen switches to thermal imaging. Same moment, different spectrum. The figure appears as a cold mass, 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Ambient temperature in that corridor was 64.
Pritchard's jaw tightens. Where's that object now?
Unknown. Records show it vanished from storage November 15, 1952, 2 weeks after retrieval. Security logs indicate no entry, no exit. It just disappeared. Webb pulls up building schematics. I analyzed structural data from all 3 buildings, looking for environmental factors, electrical issues, anything that could explain the phenomena. He highlights sections. Building 219 has outdated wiring, but it's been disconnected for years. No power flow. Building 70, same thing. Arnold House was fully de-energized in 2003. He switches views. But here's what I found. All 3 buildings share something. They're positioned on the same geological fault line. Minor, inactive, but it runs directly beneath all 3 structures. Dr. Chen leans forward. Geological activity can generate piezoelectric effects. Pressure on quartz crystals producing electrical charge. Exactly. So I checked seismic data. Graph appears. Between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., we recorded 17 microseismic events. Small, magnitude 1.2 or less, but consistent, rhythmic almost. He plays seismic recording, pulses, regular, every 12 seconds. That's not natural. Earthquakes don't pulse, they spike and decay. Park's eyes widen. Play that audio file again, the one from Building 70. She pulls it up. The deep voice, mine. She overlays the seismic data. The waveforms match. The seismic pulses align with the vocal recording. Same frequency, same rhythm. Silence. Webb stares at the screen. You're saying the voice was causing seismic activity, or the seismic activity was producing the voice? I don't know, but they're connected. Hawes speaks quietly. When we were in room 214, right before the surge, I felt it. Pressure, like standing next to a subwoofer. Vibration in my chest. Infrasound. Dr. Chen says, frequency below human hearing range, between 3 and 19 hertz, can cause feelings of dread, anxiety, visual hallucinations. So we were hallucinating? No, I'm saying infrasound was present, but that doesn't explain the physical evidence, the frost, the electromagnetic readings, the thermal signatures. Pritchard stands. Bottom line, what are we dealing with? Dr. Chen takes a breath. Something that generates its own electromagnetic field. Something that operates below ambient temperature. Something that produces coordinated phenomena across multiple locations. And something that apparently left the base at 1 a.m. this morning. You believe it's gone? She looks at the frozen image of the tall figure. Radar lost contact. EMF readings returned to baseline. Thermal anomalies ceased. All physical evidence suggests whatever was here has departed. Suggests? I can't be certain. We're analyzing something outside our current scientific framework. I can document what happened. I can't explain why. Pritchard looks at Marsh. Your assessment, Captain? Marsh moves to the table. Sir, I've been on this base 8 years. I've read files going back to 1948. This isn't the first incident. It's just the first one we've fully documented. She pulls up historical records. 1952, object retrieval, child deaths. 1961, building 219 incidents, medical staff reporting voices. 1978, building 70 storage anomalies, equipment failures. 1998, Arnold House evacuated, multiple families, all reporting similar phenomena. She looks at Pritchard. Whatever this is, it's been here for 73 years, using those buildings, using those children, until last night. And now it's finished. The object returned, the children released, the debt paid. Hawes nods slowly. That's what it felt like. Not an attack, a retrieval. Pritchard walks to the screens, studies the images, the data, the evidence. This stays classified. Level 5. Nobody outside this room sees this material. He opens the door. Buildings stay sealed. Guards stay posted. And if anything changes, anything at all, I want to know immediately. Understood. He leaves. The room stays quiet. Marsh looks at the screens. Building 219. Dark. Empty. Building 70. Silent. Still. Arnold House. Abandoned. Watching. All 3 buildings now carry marks. Evidence of something that was, and maybe something that will return. The engineering base smells like motor oil and metal shavings. Chief Master Sergeant David Rollins stands at a workbench. 42 years old, 23 years Air Force. He's seen everything, or so he thought. Captain Marsh enters with Lieutenant Webb. Rollins doesn't look up. He's studying something under a magnifying lamp. Sample from Building 70. concrete fragment from the burned circle. Chief, Marsh says. He grunts, still focused on the sample. You review the data? I did. And he finally looks up, and it's all explainable. Webb frowns. Explainable how? Rollins sets down his tools, crosses his arms. Let's start with the electromagnetic readings. Buildings 219 and 70 sit within 200 yards of the main radar installation. Building 70 specifically is adjacent to the old communications array. Decommissioned, but still structurally present. He pulls up a schematic on his tablet. Those arrays generate residual electromagnetic interference, especially during atmospheric conditions conducive to ionospheric reflection. We had clear skies, cold air, perfect conditions for EM bounce. Webb shakes his head. That doesn't explain readings over 1,000 milligauss. Residual interference doesn't spike that high. It does when you factor in geomagnetic activity. He swipes to another screen. I checked NOAA data. We had a minor geomagnetic storm October 30th through November 1st. Solar wind interaction with Earth's magnetic field creates fluctuations, enhances existing EM fields. Marsh steps closer. What about the voices? The audio recordings? Rollins shrugs. Infrasound. Building structures under stress produce low-frequency vibrations. Humans can't hear them directly, but they cause physiological effects, anxiety, fear, hallucinations. We recorded distinct voices, clear words, auditory pareidolia, your brain interpreting random noise as speech. Same reason people hear voices in white noise or running water. The mind creates patterns where none exist. Webb's jaw tightened. He hands back the phone. I can reproduce that effect in a lab. Give me a digital camera. Low light, cold room. I'll show you 100 shadow figures. Webb's face reddens. That doesn't explain the thermal signature. 7-foot-tall cold mass, 12 degrees Fahrenheit, moving. Cold air pocket. Buildings with poor insulation develop thermal stratification. Cold air sinks, creates zones of significantly different temperature. Add drafts from structural damage and those cold zones move, appear to walk. Marsh doesn't blink. What about the frost? Inside rooms, covering walls, writing appearing in it. Rollins, like he's explaining to children. Condensation. When you enter a cold room with warm breath and body heat, moisture condenses on coldest surfaces, creates frost patterns. As for writing, he pulls up photos of the frost patterns. Pattern recognition, same as seeing faces in clouds. The frost forms random shapes. Your mind interprets them as letters. You see what you want to see. 14 people saw the same letters, all read the same words. Confirmation bias. First person says they see a word. Everyone else agrees because human brains are wired for social conformity. It's basic psychology. Lieutenant Webb slams his hand on the workbench. That's bullshit. I was there. I saw equipment failure, total power drain. Every device simultaneously. Rollins stays calm. EMP effect. Electromagnetic pulse from that geomagnetic storm I mentioned. Temporary but powerful. Drains batteries. Shuts down electronics. Happens during solar events. Not common but documented. At the exact same time across 3 locations. They're all on the same power grid infrastructure, even decommissioned. The underlying electrical pathways remain. EMP propagates through conductive materials, affects everything simultaneously. Marsh leans on the workbench. Chief, the object overhead, multiple witnesses, radar contact, descending object that entered Building 70.
Rollins picks up the concrete sample. Electrical discharge, lightning strike. During geomagnetic storms, atmospheric electrical potential increases. Building 70 has metal framework, acts as lightning rod. Strike hits roof, propagates to ground, burns concrete. He sets down the sample. Lightning can reach 30,000 degrees, more than enough to scorch concrete, and it leaves no residue, just the mark. Webb stares at him. You don't believe any of it, any of what we documented. I believe you experienced something. I believe your equipment recorded data. I just don't believe the explanation is paranormal. He taps the tablet. Everything you documented has a rational explanation. Electromagnetic interference, infrasound, thermal stratification, pareidolia, geomagnetic activity. All documented phenomena, all scientifically verifiable. Marsh's voice goes quiet. What about the children? 14 names, dates, all verified deaths on this base. Public record. Anyone can access base death records through FOIA requests. Someone could have written those names beforehand, before you arrived. The rooms were sealed. Seals can be broken, locks can be picked, or, he pauses, or you saw random frost patterns and interpreted them as names you already knew because you'd read the files. Your brain filled in the gaps. Silence. Webb shakes his head. You're dismissing everything, every piece of evidence. I'm applying scientific method, Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually correct. What's simpler? Ghosts and alien spacecraft? Or natural phenomena misinterpreted by exhausted personnel under stressful conditions? Marsh straightens. Chief, I respect your analysis, but I was there. I saw things that don't fit your explanations. With respect, Captain, what you saw was filtered through stress, fatigue, and preconception. You expected to find something paranormal, so you interpreted everything through that lens. He closes his tablet. My official engineering assessment. All phenomena observed October 31st through November 1st can be attributed to natural environmental factors, equipment malfunction, and human psychological response to stressful conditions. No evidence of paranormal activity. No evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Webb's voice is cold. That's your official statement? It is. You're wrong. Rollins doesn't flinch. Maybe, but until someone brings me evidence that can't be explained by known science, I'm filing this as resolved. Environmental anomaly. Case closed. Marsh picks up her phone. Thank you for your time, Chief. She walks out. Webb follows. In the hallway, Webb is fuming. He's covering it up, dismissing everything. No, Marsh says. He's protecting himself. Easier to explain away than to admit we don't understand. So what do? We document everything. We keep the evidence secure, and we wait. Wait for what? She looks back toward the engineering bay. For it to happen again. Because it will. How do you know? Because it's happened before. 1952, 1961, 1978, 1998. Every few decades, always October, always the same buildings. They walk toward the exit. Chief Rollins can write his report, command can file it as resolved, but we know better. Webb nods slowly. The buildings are still sealed? Yes, and they stay sealed. Nobody enters without direct authorization from Colonel Pritchard. They reach the door. Outside, daylight. Normal base operations, people moving, vehicles passing.
like nothing happened. But Webb knows better now. Captain, do you think it's really gone? The figure? The object? Marsh looks toward the northwest corner of the base, where Arnold House stands, where Building 219 waits, where Building 70 sits silent. I think it got what it came for. The object it left in 1952. It took it back, took the children with it. So it's over? She's quiet for a moment. I think this chapter is over, but the base has a long memory, and some debts take more than one night to settle. They walk to their vehicles. Behind them, unseen, a window in Building 219 reflects sunlight. Second floor, room 214. For just a moment, a shadow passes across the glass. Small, child-sized, then gone. But Marsh feels it, the weight of watching eyes. She gets in her vehicle, doesn't look back. Some things are better left alone, at least for now.
3 days later, Marsh sits in her office, 8 a.m., coffee cold on her desk. She hasn't been sleeping well. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees that figure, the tall one, standing in the darkness. Her desk phone rings. Captain Marsh? Ma'am, this is Sergeant Park, Communications. You need to come down here. Now. Something in her voice. What is it? We found something. On the TAPS recordings. Something we missed. I'll be right there. 5 minutes later, she's in the communications lab. Park sits at a workstation. Multiple monitors. Waveform displays. Audio editing software. Hawes is there too. He flew back to Rhode Island 2 days ago, but he's on video call. Captain, Park says. After Chief Rollins filed his report, I kept analyzing the audio, going deeper, looking for anything we missed. She pulls up a file. This is the recording from Building 70, Storage Bay, 11:47 p.m., right before the surge. She plays it, static, low hum, then breathing, the same breathing they heard that night. Ragged, wet, struggling. We documented this already, Marsh says. Right, but I ran it through spectral isolation, filtered out ambient noise, separated frequency layers. She adjusts controls. The breathing fades. Something else emerges. Underneath, a voice, faint but distinct, speaking, not English, something else, rhythmic, repetitive. Park plays it again, slower. The voice becomes clearer, still not English, but structured, language-like. What is that? Marsh asks. Hawes speaks from the screen. We sent it to a linguist, professor at MIT, specializes in unknown language patterns. She analyzed it for 3 hours, and she said it's not any known human language. The phonetic structure is wrong. Too many glottal sounds. Frequency range outside normal human vocal production. Park pulls up a comparison chart. Human speech uses fundamental frequency between 85 and 255 Hz, depending on gender and age. This voice measures repeating. The linguist said if it is language, it's expressing a simple concept based on repetition patterns, probably a statement, not a question, not a command, just stating something. Marsh feels cold creep up her spine. What's it saying? She couldn't translate, but she said the tonal quality suggests possession, ownership, like saying, "This is mine," or "These belong to me." The voice on the recording continues, 3 syllables, 4 syllables, 2 syllables, over and over. Hawes speaks from the screen. There's more. Tell her about the response. Park switches files. This is from the same recording, 7 seconds after that voice. We didn't catch it on site because it's so faint, but it's there. She plays it.
static hum. Then another voice, multiple voices actually, children, speaking in unison, same language as the deep voice, responding. Park isolates it, enhances it. 14 distinct voices, all children, all speaking together. One word, repeated 3 times. The linguist analyzed this too, said based on tone and context, it's likely agreement, acknowledgement, like saying yes or understood. Marsh sits down. They were communicating, the figure and the children. That's what it sounds like. Hawes leans into his camera. Captain, there's one more thing. The final recording, right at 11:59 p.m., building 219, room 214. This is the one that bothers me most. Park pulls up the file. Timestamp, October 31st, 11:59:47. This was recorded 13 seconds before midnight, right before the surge. We had 3 recorders running in that room. All of them captured this. She plays it. Silence first, then a child's voice. Clear, close to the microphone. English this time. Thank you. Pause. Another child. We can go now. Third voice. Younger. He's taking us home. Fourth voice. We're not cold anymore. The voices overlap now. Multiple children speaking at once. Thank you for finding us. Thank you for bringing him back. We've been waiting so long. He came back for us. We're going home. Then silence. Exactly at half night, all voices stop. The recording continues for 30 more seconds. Nothing but static. Then at 00:31, one final voice. The deep voice. One word. In English this time. Complete. The recording ends. Marsh stares at the screen. Park's hands are shaking slightly. I've listened to this 200 times. Every time it's the same. 14 children, all thanking someone, all saying they're going home. Hawes speaks quietly from the video call. They weren't trapped by the building. They were trapped by whatever came in 1952. That thing, that figure, it kept them there for 73 years.
Marsh's mind races. The object, when it crashed in 1952, they brought it to Building 70, stored it, but it wasn't just an object. It was alive somehow, or conscious, and when they kept it here, it started taking children. Park nods. First one was Michael Cordero, 2 weeks after the object arrived, then more over the years. Every child who died on this base between 1952 and 1987, 14 total. Why children? I don't know. Maybe they were easier to hold, easier to control, or maybe, she hesitates, maybe it needed them for something. Energy, sustenance. The files said the object was cold, below ambient temperature. Those children always mentioned cold. The cold man. Marsh stands, paces. So when the object vanished in November 1952, it didn't actually leave. It stayed, hiding somehow, using those buildings, using those children, until last night, when something came back for it. Hawes says, the aerial object, same size, same properties. It came to retrieve what was left here, and when it did, the children were released. They could finally leave. Park pulls up another file. There's one more piece. I found this in the Building 70 archives. Radio transmission, recorded October 31st, 1952, the night of the original crash. She plays it. Radio static, old recording, degraded. Then a voice, military radio operator. Wright-Patterson Tower, this is Saber 2-1. I have visual on object. It's, Jesus Christ, it's opening. Something's coming out. Static, tower, the object is stationary, hovering, something emerged. It's descending. Repeat, entity has exited the craft. More static, tower, entity has reached ground. Object is ascending. It's leaving. Tower, the object is abandoning. Transmission cuts. Silence. Then a different voice. Command, all units, radio silence.
Secure the area. Recovery team en route. The recording ends. Marsh feels her chest tighten. They retrieved the object, but not what came out of the voices frozen in digital patterns. 14 children who waited 73 years, who died young and stayed trapped until someone came back for them. Did we help them? She asks. Or did we just facilitate an abduction? Hawes is quiet for a moment. I think we gave them what they wanted. Freedom. After 7 decades of being held here, they chose to go. With that thing? Maybe that thing wasn't evil. Maybe it was just stranded, alone, and the children were all it had. Park shakes her head. That doesn't make it right. Taking children, keeping them, no. But maybe there are things we don't understand. Morality that doesn't translate. Intentions that look monstrous but aren't. Marsh stands. Or maybe it was exactly what it looked like. Something cold and predatory that took children and finally got to take them home. She moves to the door. Secure all recordings. Classify everything level 5. Nobody hears these tapes outside this room. Yes, ma'am. She pauses. And Park, good work finding this. Thank you, Captain. Marsh leaves. In the hallway, she pulls out her phone, texts Hale. Meet me at Building 70. 20 minutes. Bring bolt cutters. She walks to her vehicle. The recordings play in her mind. Thank you for finding us. He's taking us home. We're not cold anymore. She drives across base, past hangars and offices and personnel going about normal duties. Nobody knows what happened 3 nights ago. Nobody knows what's been living here for 73 years. And maybe that's better. She reaches Building 70. Hale is already there, bolt cutters in hand. Captain, what are we doing? She looks at the building. I need to see it one more time. The mark, the burn, it's just scorched concrete. I know, but I need to see it. They cut the chain, enter the building, walk through corridors. Their footsteps echo. Reach storage section 12B. The circle is still there, 8 feet diameter, burned black. Word in the center, returned. Marsh kneels beside it, touches the concrete, still faintly warm. She looks at Hale. You think they're really gone? He's quiet for a moment. I think something left. Whether it's gone for good, he trails off. Marsh stands. They walk back toward the exit. Behind them, in the darkness of the storage bay, something shifts. A cold pocket of air, moving, watching them leave, then still again, waiting. November 5th, 5 days after the incident. The briefing room is full. Colonel Pritchard at the head, Captain Marsh to his right, Technical Sergeant Hale beside her, Dr. Chen, Lieutenant Webb, Sergeant Park, Chief Rollins, looking uncomfortable, and 3 officers Marsh doesn't recognize, dress blues. No name tags, no unit insignia, just rank. 2 colonels, 1 brigadier general. They arrived this morning. No warning, no announcement. Pritchard stands. Gentlemen, this is the team that responded to the incidents of October 31st. They've compiled comprehensive documentation. Captain Marsh will present findings. Marsh stands, remote in hand. First slide, timeline, 9 p.m. through 1 a.m. At 9 p.m. we granted access to civilian paranormal investigators. TAPS, 3-person team. They were tasked with documenting phenomena reported at 3 locations on base. She clicks. Building layouts appear. Building 219, former medical facility. Building 70, storage warehouse. Arnold House, condemned officer quarters. All 3 structures have documented histories of unexplained activity dating back to 1952. One of the unknown colonels speaks. Captain, define unexplained activity. Sir, motion sensors triggering without cause, audio recordings of voices with no source, thermal anomalies, electromagnetic field spikes, 14 documented incidents over 73 years. And your team determined these were genuine paranormal events?
Marsh hesitates. Sir, we documented phenomena that currently lack conventional explanation. The general leans forward. That's not what I asked, Captain. Do you believe this base is haunted? Silence. Marsh meets his eyes. Sir, I believe something was present in those buildings. Something that exhibited behaviors inconsistent with known physical laws. Whether that constitutes haunting, I can't say. But you don't have a rational explanation? Chief Rollins provided engineering analysis, natural phenomena, equipment malfunction, psychological factors. She glances at Rollins. I respect his assessment, but it doesn't account for all evidence. The general sits back. Continue. Marsh clicks. EMF readings, audio waveforms, thermal images. Between 11 and 11:59 p.m., we documented escalating activity across all 3 locations. Peak measurements occurred at 11:59 p.m. simultaneously. Click. Radar data. At 11:47 p.m., base radar detected unidentified aerial contact, 12 miles northeast. Descending. Object matched profile of 1952 retrieval. Spherical, 8 feet diameter. No transponder. The second colonel speaks. You're referencing Project Blue Book files. Yes, sir. October 31st, 1952. Object crashed 12 miles from base. Recovered by Captain Raymond Cordero. Stored in Building 70. Vanished 2 weeks later. And you believe there's a connection? Sir, the similarities are significant. Same date, same location, same object characteristics, same buildings involved. Click. Video footage. The tall figure. The room goes silent. Everyone stares at the screen. The figure stands in Building 70 corridor, 7 feet tall, impossibly thin, absorbing light. This was recorded at 11:51 p.m. Thermal imaging shows surface temperature of 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Ambient temperature was 64 degrees. The general leans forward again. What am I looking at, Captain? Unknown, sir. Visual analysis shows humanoid proportions but non-human characteristics. It appeared in all 3 buildings at various times, always associated with temperature drops and EMF spikes. You're saying you documented an extraterrestrial entity? I'm saying we documented something. Classification pending further analysis. Click. Audio waveform. The deep voice. This was recorded in Building 70, 11:47 p.m. Voice pattern analysis shows frequency range below human capability. Language unknown. MIT linguist suggests it's expressing ownership or possession. She plays 5 seconds. The deep voice fills the room. 3 syllables. 4 syllables. 2 syllables. Alien. Wrong. Making everyone's skin crawl. It ends. Nobody speaks. Marsh continues. 14 seconds later, 14 children's voices respond. Same unknown language. Our analysis suggests acknowledgement. Agreement. Click. Names appear, 14 of them. These children all died on Wright-Patterson between 1952 and 1987, ages 4 to 12. Various causes. All deaths occurred in or near the 3 buildings in question. The first colonel speaks. You're suggesting these children were victims of this entity or held by it. The audio evidence suggests they were trapped until the night of October 31st. Click. Final recording transcript. At 11:59 p.m., Multiple children's voices were recorded. English this time. They expressed gratitude, said they were going home, said they weren't cold anymore. She pauses. At precisely midnight, all activity ceased. The aerial object departed. Radar lost contact. Thermal anomalies ended. EMF readings returned to baseline. Click. Photograph. Building 70 floor. The burned circle. 8 feet diameter. Word in the center. Returned. This mark was found in Building 70, storage section where the 1952 object was kept. Carbon analysis dates the burn to October 31st, 11:59 p.m. Temperature required to scorch concrete this deeply exceeds 2,000 degrees. The general stands, walks to the screen, studies the image. Your conclusion, Captain? Marsh takes a breath. Sir, based on available evidence, I believe the 1952 object was not unmanned. An entity exited the craft before recovery. That entity remained on base, occupying the 3 buildings. Over decades, it somehow retained or trapped children who died here. When the object returned on October 31st, the entity departed, taking the children with it. You're describing an alien abduction. I'm describing what the evidence suggests. The general turns. And you believe this entity is gone? All indicators suggest departure, but I can't confirm permanent absence. Why not? Because we don't understand what it was, where it came from, why it stayed, or if it might return. Pritchard stands. General, Captain Marsh's report is thorough, but we also have Chief Rollins's engineering assessment, natural phenomena, explainable events. The general looks at Rollins. Chief, you stand by your analysis? Rollins shifts. Sir, I provided scientific explanations for observed phenomena, electromagnetic interference, infrasound, thermal stratification, all documented effects, but you can't explain everything. Pause. No, sir. Some elements remain inconsistent with my models, such as the aerial object, radar confirmation from multiple sources, controlled descent, precision approach. Those don't fit atmospheric balloon or drone profiles. What about the voice recordings? Frequency analysis shows non-human ranges. I can't explain that through conventional means. And the burned mark? Rollins takes a breath. Temperature required. Precision of the mark. No accelerant. No heat source. I have no conventional explanation. The general nods slowly. So despite your official report, you acknowledge anomalies? Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief. The general walks back to his seat. Here's what's going to happen. This incident is classified. Level 5. Beyond top secret. Special access required. Nobody discusses this outside cleared personnel. He looks at each person in the room. Dr. Chen, your analysis is sealed. Lieutenant Webb, same. Sergeant Park, all recordings archived and restricted. Chief Rollins, your engineering report stands as official explanation for any inquiries. He turns to Marsh. Captain, your report goes into a special file, along with Project Blue Book materials. Restricted access. Eyes only. What about the buildings, sir? They remain sealed. Guards posted indefinitely. Structural integrity assessments every 90 days. But no personnel enter without express authorization from this command. And the TAPS footage? Already secured. 1 copy in Colonel Pritchard's safe. 1 copy with us. The team signed NDAs. They're covered. The second colonel speaks. Captain, you and your team did exemplary work. Documented everything. Followed protocol. But understand, this never happened. Officially, you investigated equipment malfunctions and environmental anomalies. Nothing more. Yes, sir. The general stands. Everyone follows. This briefing is concluded. You're all dismissed except Captain Marsh and Colonel Pritchard. The others file out. Rollins avoids eye contact with Marsh. Park gives her a slight nod. Hale squeezes her shoulder as he passes. The door closes. Just Marsh, Pritchard, and the 3 unknown officers. The general speaks quietly now. Captain, you're aware this isn't the first incident of this nature. Sir? Wright-Patterson has a history. Goes back further than 1952. We've been monitoring these buildings for decades, documenting patterns. Waiting. Marsh feels cold. Waiting for what? For it to return, which it did. And you were here to document it. The first colonel opens a briefcase, pulls out a file folder, thick, old. This is everything we have. Every incident, every sighting, every piece of evidence, dating back to 1948. He hands it to Marsh. You're now part of a very small group, cleared for this information. Read it. Understand the history, because this cycle isn't over. Cycle? The general nods. Every 20 to 30 years, activity spikes. October specifically. Always the same pattern. Building activity, child involvement, aerial objects, then silence. How many times? This was the 4th documented occurrence. 1952, 1978, 1998, now 2007. Marsh looks at the file. What happens next? You maintain surveillance, keep the building sealed, monitor for any new activity, and if it starts again, he pauses. You document everything, just like you did this time. Sir, if this is a pattern, shouldn't we try to prevent it? Prevent what, Captain? We don't know what it is. We don't know where it comes from. We don't understand its purpose. All we can do is observe, document, and try to minimize casualties. The second colonel speaks. The children who died between incidents, the ones it took. We've looked at every case. Natural causes, accidents, medical complications. Nothing suspicious, nothing we could have prevented. So we just wait until it happens again? We stay vigilant, the general says. We protect this base, and we make sure when it does return, if it returns, we're ready. He moves to the door. Read that file, Captain. Learn the history, then lock it in your safe. And don't speak of this to anyone outside this room. Yes, sir. The 3 officers leave. Just Marsh and Pritchard now. Pritchard sits, looks exhausted. Welcome to the rabbit hole, Captain. Sir, I've known about this for 6 years. Since the last spike in 1998. I was a major then. They brought me in just like they brought you in today. He looks at her. It's a burden. Knowing. Waiting. Watching those buildings. Wondering when it'll start again. Marsh sits across from him. Do you believe it? All of it? I believe something is happening here. Something beyond our current understanding. Whether it's extraterrestrial or interdimensional or something else entirely, I don't know. He stands, but I know those children are gone. I know something took them, and I know we're the only ones standing between this base and whatever that was. He walks to the door, stops. Get some rest, Captain. You've earned it. But stay alert, because the pattern says we have 20 years, maybe 30, before it happens again. He leaves. Marsh sits alone, the file on the table. She opens it. First page, Incident Report, 1948, before Wright-Patterson was even officially established, before Project Blue Book, before any of it. She reads and realizes this goes back further than anyone knows. November 15th, 2 weeks after the incident. Marsh sits in her office, late afternoon, sun low through the window. The base has returned to normal operations. Personnel move about their duties. Aircraft take off and land. Training exercises continue, like nothing happened. But Marsh knows better. She's read the file, cover to cover, 3 times. 1948, construction workers reported lights in the sky, objects hovering over what would become the base. 2 workers vanished for 6 hours, found wandering in fields. No memory of what happened. 1952, the incident everyone knows. Object crash.
Captain Cordero, Michael's death, the entity. 1961, Building 219 nurse disappeared, found 3 days later in Arnold House basement, catatonic, never spoke again, died in psychiatric facility 6 months later. 1978, major spike, 12 children sick simultaneously, unexplained illness, 4 died. Building 70 evacuated after security footage showed shadows moving in sealed corridors. 1987, final death in Building 219, 7-year-old girl, surgery complications. Witnesses reported seeing her standing in the window 3 days after her funeral. Investigation dismissed as grief hallucinations. 1998, Arnold House evacuations, 6 families. Multiple reports of entities, cold spots, children's voices. Base Command sealed the building permanently. And now, 2007, the cycle complete. 14 children taken over 55 years, all released in one night. Marsh closes the file, locks it in her safe. Her computer chimes. Email. Classified header. From Pritchard James Cole to Marsh Elena Capt. Subject, final report, incident WPAFB 1031. Classification, TS/SCI. Special access required. She opens it. Captain Marsh. Attached is the official final report for incident WPAFB 1031. Halloween Protocol. This document consolidates all findings, evidence, and conclusions. It will be archived in restricted files and sealed for 25 years per standard protocol. Key determinations. 1. Equipment malfunctions attributed to electromagnetic interference and geomagnetic storm activity, per Chief Rollins' assessment. 2. Audio anomalies attributed to infrasound, structural resonance, and auditory pareidolia. 3. Visual anomalies attributed to low-light camera artifacts and environmental factors. 4. Aerial radar contact attributed to atmospheric anomaly and sensor malfunction during geomagnetic disturbance. 5. No evidence of paranormal activity or extraterrestrial contact documented. 6. No injuries or casualties resulted from the incident. 7. All 3 structures remain sealed, pending structural assessments. Official conclusion: environmental and technical anomalies occurring during unusual atmospheric conditions. No further investigation required. This is the official record. All personnel involved have been briefed on classification requirements. Your detailed documentation has been filed separately under Special Access Protocols. You know where it goes. Good work, Captain. Get some rest. Pritchard Marsh reads it twice. The official story. Clean, simple, explainable. Nothing happened. Just equipment glitches and tired personnel seeing things. She sits back. Her phone buzzes. Text from Hale. You see the report? She replies, flatly, yes. That's it? Annoyed. That's how it ends? She thinks for a moment. Types. That's how it ends officially. 3 dots appear. Then, but we know better. Yes, we do. The building's still sealed? Permanently. No entry without special authorization. Good. Captain, you ever wonder if we did the right thing? She stares at the message, wonders the same thing. They brought TAPS in, investigated, documented everything. And maybe that's what triggered it. Maybe their presence, their equipment, their attention. Maybe that's what woke it up, what brought the object back.
What released the children? Or took them? She types, "Jason, didn't expect to see you back here. I needed to deliver something in person." He pulls a hard drive from his bag. This is everything. Every recording, every video, every data point. The only copies left. Grant and Steve destroyed theirs, per the NDA. He sets it on her desk. "But I needed you to have this, because I think you understand what really happened." Marsh picks up the drive. The official report says equipment malfunction, environmental factors. I read it. They sent us a copy. He leans forward. "Captain, I've been investigating paranormal claims for 15 years. Most of it is explainable. Bad wiring, old buildings, overactive imaginations. Maybe 10% is genuinely unexplained. And of that 10%, maybe 1% is truly anomalous. What we documented here is that 1%. This was real. Something was in those buildings. Something took those children. And something came back for them." Marsh nods slowly. "I know. So what happens now? Now we file it, seal it, and wait. For what? For it to happen again. 20 years, maybe 30. The pattern suggests it will." Hawes sits back. "And if it does, then we'll be ready. We'll document it again, try to understand it better, but not stop it. How do you stop something you don't understand? Something that operates outside known physics? Something that exists in spaces between what we consider possible?" Hawes has no answer. "We did what we could," Marsh says quietly. "We witnessed. We recorded. We tried to help. And maybe we did. Those children said thank you, said they were going home. Maybe that's enough. Or maybe we helped something abduct 14 souls." The words hang heavy. Marsh sets down the hard drive. "I've thought about that. Every night since. What if we got it wrong? What if that entity wasn't rescuing them? What if it was taking them somewhere worse? Do you believe that?" She's quiet for a long time. "No. I heard their voices. The relief. The gratitude. They wanted to go. They chose it. After 73 years of being trapped here, cold and alone, they finally had a chance to leave, with something that isn't human. Maybe being human isn't the only way to be safe. Or loved. Or free." Hawes nods slowly. "That's what I think too, but it's hard to accept. Goes against everything we're taught about protection, about keeping people safe. Those children weren't people anymore. Not in the way we understand. They were something else, caught between. And maybe what we saw wasn't abduction. Maybe it was salvation." She stands. "Thank you for bringing this. I'll keep it secure." Hawes stands too. "Captain, if it happens again, if the cycle continues, and if you need help documenting it, call me. I'll come back." "You'd really do that, knowing what's here?" "Because of what's here. This is the most significant evidence of non-human intelligence I've ever encountered. If it returns, the world needs to know. The world will never know. This stays classified. Forever, probably. Then at least we'll know. And we'll have proof. Real proof. That we're not alone. That there's more to this universe than what we see." Marsh walks him to the door. "Safe travels, Jason. And thank you for everything." They shake hands. He leaves. Marsh returns to her desk, picks up the hard drive. Everything documented. Every piece of evidence. Every voice recording. Proof of something beyond. She locks it in the safe, next to the historical file. Then she pulls out a notebook. Fresh page. Date: November 15th, 2007. Subject: Post-incident observations. Classification: Personal log. To be destroyed. She writes, 2 weeks since the event.
Base operations normal. No further incidents reported. Buildings remain sealed and quiet, but I walk past them every day, and I feel it. The weight of watching eyes, the sense that something is waiting. Not the entity, that's gone, I believe that, but the buildings themselves. They've absorbed something over the decades, witnessed things, held things, and that doesn't just vanish. The children are gone. I have to believe they're free now. Wherever they went, whatever took them, it had to be better than being trapped here. Cold, alone, forgotten. But I wonder about the others, the ones who died on this base over the years. Not in those 3 buildings, elsewhere. Are they trapped too, waiting, hoping someone will notice? Or is it only those specific locations, those buildings with their history, their connection to whatever came in 1952? I don't have answers, just questions, and the certainty that this isn't over. The pattern says 20 to 30 years, so 2027 to 2030, time to go home. But first, she drives past the buildings, all 3 of them. One more time. Building 219, dark, silent, fence secure. Building 70, concrete walls, sealed doors, no movement. Arnold House, windows boarded, porch sagging, empty. She stops the car, looks at each one, and for just a moment, just a fraction of a second, she sees something. Second floor window, building 219, room 214. A small shadow, child-sized, standing in the glass, watching her. She blinks, it's gone. Just reflection, sunlight, tricks of tired eyes. But she knows what she saw. One didn't leave. One stayed behind. She drives away. Behind her, in the window, the shadow remains, small, alone, waiting. Not for rescue, for company, because 20 years is a long time to wait alone, and cycles always need something to start them again. October 30th, 2027, 20 years later, Major Elena Marsh, promoted twice since 2007, sits in the same office, different desk, same view. She's 48 now, gray threading through her hair, lines around her eyes. 2 decades at Wright-Patterson, 2 decades watching those buildings. Her phone rings. Major Marsh. Ma'am, this is security forces. We have a situation. Building 219. Motion sensors triggered. Multiple alerts. Her blood goes cold. When? Started 10 minutes ago. 9:47 p.m. Same pattern as the 2007 logs. She's on her feet. Lock down the area. Nobody approaches. I'm on my way. Yes, ma'am. But Major, there's something else. What? We have visitors at the gate. 3 people. They say they're expected. They say you called them. Marsh frowns. I didn't call anyone. Who are they? One's named Jason Hawes. Says you worked together 20 years ago. Says you'd want to know he's here. Her chest tightens. Send them to the security office. I'll meet them there. She grabs her jacket, the keys to the safe, opens it, pulls out 2 items, the hard drive from 2007 and a folder, fresh, recent. She's been documenting everything for 6 months, since April, when it started again. Small things at first, cold spots in building 219, just for seconds. Audio equipment picking up static near building 70. Frost on Arnold House windows, inside. On warm days, she knew the cycle was beginning, right on schedule. She drives to the security office. Hawes waits inside, older now, 53, white in his beard, but same sharp eyes. Grant Wilson beside him, also aged, but here, and a younger woman, 30s, equipment bags at her feet. Jason, Marsh says. They shake hands. Major now, congratulations. What are you doing here? I didn't call. I know, but I've been monitoring. I have contacts, people who watch these things. And 6 months ago, patterns started showing up. Electromagnetic anomalies, atmospheric disturbances, all centered here. He looks at her. It's happening again, isn't it? She doesn't answer, doesn't have to. We need to talk, privately. She leads them to a conference room, seals the door. Hawes sets down his bag. 20 years, just like you said. I've been waiting, watching, hoping I was wrong. You weren't. She opens her folder, spreads documents across the table. Incident reports, sensor logs, audio recordings. Started in April, minor events. Easy to dismiss, but escalating. Last week, Building 70 temperature dropped 40 degrees in 60 seconds. No HVAC activity, no explanation. Grant studies the reports. Same pattern as 2007. Exactly the same, down to the timing. 6 months of buildup, peak activity approaching Halloween.
The young woman speaks.
I'm Sarah. Joined TAPS 5 years ago. Jason told me about Wright-Patterson. I've studied the classified footage. All of it. Marsh looks at Hawes. You showed her? She has clearance. Civilian contractor. DOD approved. She's been working with us on similar cases. Sarah pulls out a tablet. Major, I've been analyzing patterns, not just here, globally. There are 7 locations worldwide showing similar signatures, military bases, research facilities, all with histories of unexplained phenomena. She shows a map, red dots across continents, and they're all activating, all within the same 6-month window, all building towards something. Marsh stares at the map. You're saying this isn't isolated. I'm saying whatever happened in 1952, whatever started here, it's not unique. It's part of something larger. Hawes leans forward. Elena, we think they're coming back, not just here, everywhere, all at once. Why now? Because the cycle isn't 20 years. That's just the local pattern. The global cycle is 75 years, 3 generations. And 2027 marks 75 years since 1952. Grant pulls up data. 1952. Global spike in UFO reports. Objects over multiple countries. Crashes. Retrievals. Project Blue Book era. Then silence. 1978. Regional spikes. Isolated incidents. Building activity. 2007. What you experienced. More frequent. More intense. And now, 2027. We think this is the big one, the full return. Marsh's radio crackles. Major, Building 70 just activated. Lights flickering, same with Arnold House. All 3 locations active simultaneously. She keys the mic. Copy, maintain perimeter, nobody enters. She looks at Hawes. You want to document this. We want to help. If this is what we think it is, if they're returning on a global scale, someone needs to record it. Someone needs to understand. Command will never authorize civilians. Then don't ask. Bring us in as consultants, technical advisors. We have DOD clearance, we have equipment, and we have experience. Marsh thinks. 20 years she's been preparing for this. 20 years watching, waiting, and now it's here. You get 4 hours, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Same window as 2007. You document everything, but you follow my orders. Understood? Understood. And if something happens, if this goes wrong, you leave immediately. No arguments. Agreed. She stands. Get your equipment. We deploy in 15 minutes. 10:15 p.m. Building 219. They stand outside. Full team this time. Marsh, Hawes, Grant, Sarah. Technical Sergeant Chen. Hale retired in 2018. Dr. Sarah Chen. Still consulting after 20 years. And Colonel Pritchard. Older, grayer, but still here. Same buildings, same night. Like clockwork. Marsh nods. The children are gone. So what's still here? Maybe they're not gone, Sarah says. Everyone looks at her. The recordings from 2007, 14 voices, 14 children, all accounted for, but I analyzed base death records. Between 1987 and 2007, 3 more children died here. Marsh's stomach drops. What? Dependence. Medical complications. 1989, 1996, 2003. All documented, all in base hospitals. Not in these buildings, but on Wright-Patterson. Why weren't they taken in 2007? Because they died after the entity arrived. After it was already here. They weren't part of the original 14. They came after. Hawes understands. So they're still trapped. That's my theory.
The lights in building 219 flicker, all of them, every window, then steady. Marsh keys her radio. All units, status, building 70 active, temperature dropping, Arnold House, lights on, no power source detected, radar contact, 12 miles northeast, same trajectory as 2007. Pritchard looks at Marsh. Here we go again. But something's different this time. Marsh feels it. The air is wrong. Pressure building, like before a storm, but worse, heavier. Sarah's equipment screams. EMF detector maxed out. Reading over 3,000 milligauss. That's impossible. The ground trembles. Subtle, but there. Seismic activity, Dr. Chen says, checking her tablet. Magnitude 2.4, but it's not natural. It's rhythmic. The buildings pulse. All 3. Lights brightening, then dimming, then brightening again. In sync. Like breathing. They're connected, Grant says. All 3 buildings, they're acting as one system. Then Marsh sees them in the windows. Not 14 figures, 17. Small, child-sized, standing motionless. But 3 of them are different, clearer, more defined. The newer ones, the ones who died after 2007. They're all here, she whispers. The radio crackles. Radar contact at 6 miles. Multiple objects. Repeat. Multiple aerial contacts. Count now at 4 objects. All descending. 4, not 1. Hawes looks at Marsh. This isn't a retrieval. This is something else. The objects appear overhead, visible now. Spherical, glowing, blue-white light. Each one 8 feet diameter, hovering above each building. 4th one positioned over the center of the base, equidistant from all 3 structures. The seismic pulses intensify, buildings shaking now, windows rattling, and from inside, sounds. Not children's voices, something else, deep, resonant, multiple tones overlapping. The tall figures, not one, multiple. They're inside all 3 buildings. Sarah's equipment captures it. Thermal showing 7 tall signatures. Died 2003. Medical complications. The last child to die before the 2007 event. The child speaks. You have to stop them. Marsh's voice catches. Stop what? They're not taking us home. They're opening something. Opening what? The child points to the center, where the entities stand. Between them, the air ripples, like heat distortion, but cold. Frost spreading outward from a point that shouldn't exist. A door, the child says. They've been building it for 75 years, using us, our energy, our fear, our deaths. Hawes steps forward. What's on the other side? More of them. Thousands, waiting to come through. The ripple expands, growing, 6 feet wide now, and through it, something moves. Shapes, tall, thin, dozens of them. pressing against the membrane between worlds. If they open it completely, the child says, they won't need buildings anymore, won't need to hide. They'll have direct access. Marsh grabs her radio. All units, weapons free. Target the center. Fire on my command. Major, what are we shooting at? Everything. Fire everything. But before anyone can act, the child touches Marsh's arm. Her hand is ice cold. Guns won't work. They're not really here. Not physically. They're projections, bridging the gap. Then how do we stop them? The child looks at the other children, the 17 figures standing in the circle. We break the pattern, break the connection. She starts walking toward the center, toward the entities. Marsh follows. Wait, what are you doing? What we should have done in 2007. We should have refused. The child reaches the circle. The tall figures don't stop her, don't even acknowledge her. They're focused on the door, on opening it wider. The child stands with the other 17, speaks to them. Marsh can't hear the words, but she sees the effect. One by one, the children step out of the circle, breaking formation, walking away from the entities. And as they do, the light dims. The objects overhead flicker. The door ripples, shrinks. The tall figures react now, turning, reaching. But the children keep walking, toward Marsh, toward Hawes, toward the living. The entities make sounds, not words, not language. Rage, pure, ancient, furious. The door collapses, closes, the shapes on the other side pressing, pounding, but unable to cross. The objects overhead pulse once. Brilliant, blinding, then gone, vanished. The tall figures shimmer, fade, reach out one last time, then disappear. Silence, complete. The buildings go dark. The children stand together, 17 of them, solid, present, real, for just this moment. The one who spoke to Marsh smiles. We're free now, really free, not taken, not held, just released. Where will you go? Wherever we were supposed to go. 75 years ago, 20 years ago. Today, it doesn't matter now. One by one they fade, not violently, not with light or sound, just gently, like falling asleep, until only Jennifer remains. Thank you, she says. For what? For remembering, for watching, for being here when we finally said no. She fades too, and they're gone. Marsh stands in the silence. Around her, the team slowly lowers their equipment. Pritchard walks over. What just happened? I think... Marsh takes a breath. I think we just stopped an invasion. November 1st, 6 Amar. Marsh sits in her office. Report completed. Official version, equipment malfunction, environmental anomaly, atmospheric phenomenon. Real version, locked in her safe, with everything else. Her computer chimes. Email from Sarah. Major, checked all 7 global sites. All activity ceased at exactly 0001 GMT. Simultaneously. Whatever was happening, it stopped everywhere at once. We think the children at other sites did the same thing. Broke the pattern. Refused the cycle. It's over. Really over this time. Marsh sits back. Over. After 75 years. The cycle broken. Not by weapons. Not by science. By choice. 17 children choosing freedom over servitude, choosing to break the pattern. Her phone buzzes. Text from Hawes. Thank you for letting us be there, for documenting it. We witnessed something important, maybe the most important thing any of us will ever see. Jay, she replies. Thank you for coming back. We couldn't have done it without you. She stands, looks out the window. The 3 buildings stand empty, really empty this time. No watchers, no shadows, no waiting. Just abandoned structures on an aging military base, ready to be demolished, ready to be forgotten. She picks up her phone, calls base engineering. This is Major Marsh, authorization code Tango 7 Delta. I'm requesting demolition orders for buildings 219, 70, and Arnold House, priority Alpha. I want them gone by end of year. Yes, ma'am. Any particular reason? She looks at the buildings one last time. They've served their purpose. Time to move on. She ends the call, sits down, opens her personal log. Final entry, November 1st, 2027. The cycle is broken. The children are free. The door is closed. After 75 years, Wright-Patterson is finally clean. But I wonder, was this the only door? The only attempt? How many other bases, other sites, other places where things reached through? How many succeeded? I don't have answers, but I know this. We have to watch, always, forever, because they'll try again. Maybe not here, maybe not in our lifetime, but they're patient, and they're hungry, and somewhere right now, another door is being built, another cycle beginning. And we need to be ready.
We need to remember what the children taught us. The only way to break the pattern is to refuse it, to say no, to choose freedom over fear. That's the real weapon. That's how we win, not with guns or bombs or technology, but with will, with choice, with 17 children who waited decades for the chance to finally say, no more. She closes the log, locks it away, and walks out into November sunshine. Behind her, on her desk, unnoticed, a single frost crystal on the window glass, melting slowly in morning light, and in it, barely visible, 2 words. Thanks you. Then gone.